Welcome in on this glorious Monday, June the 15th, halfway through this sixth month of the year. Getting very close to summer. The weather has just been ideal. It is a strange Monday, though. We have come off our first taste of real golf. We had a protest walk yesterday that was very peaceful by the University of Memphis Athletic Department and administrators and athletes. I didn't realize this until I was talking with one of them this morning. They walked 6 miles in order to get their point across yesterday. We've had spikes in the virus today at a lot of places, including in the National Football League, a couple of teams that apparently have had some positive cases, and we have had enough of a spike with hospitalizations in Memphis, where Phase 3 was supposed to start today. That phase has been canceled for the moment, or I should say moving to Phase 3 has been delayed. We will stay in Phase 2 for the time being. We had another excellent documentary last night on ESPN, so there is plenty with which to talk about. Brett Norsworthy, my partner in crime, he's at the Avenues of the Americas in Forest City. How are you today?
I'm good, Dave, and it almost feels like before we go to Phase 3, we could almost go back to Phase 1. And as of today, 0.02% of the people in Shelby County have had the virus.
That is at least one heartening stat that we get. Today, when you hear that we're up to 200 hospitalizations, 122 of those are in acute care beds, 78 are now in intensive care, 80 are under investigation. That's the first time that I've seen that kind of number, I think, of the hospitalizations, and I think that is where, and let's face it, that's why they initially shut down the economy, was so that we wouldn't be overrun with our healthcare facilities,
and nowhere got close, and nowhere is approaching close now.
Yeah, and it isn't. But that is the spike that I think has slowed things down.
Dr. Jane told us in one of the times with us, 3,700 hospital beds in Shelby County. So put those numbers you just rattled off in comparison to that many beds. In Knox County, I know the other side of the state, but it is part of the state of Tennessee, and we're also interconnected with this truly globally, and for sure in the United States, as we all grieved and were hurt by what we saw in the months of March and April and into May in New York, primarily New York City. Knox County, Tennessee, 470,000 people, third or fourth largest county in the state of Tennessee, 5 virus deaths.
That is a part of the Knoxville being, I assume, the largest, most dense with population area of that particular neck of the woods. Most of those, like Johnson City, Elizabethton, if that's all in that area that you're referring to, and I don't really know, but those are
not
all
in Knox County. They're not.
They're not in Knox County. Well, that area, other than Knoxville itself, is a pretty rural area. So they've done a good job too, I guess, of social distancing and doing all the things that matter. I don't know.
From day one in the state of Ohio, total population 7 million people. They had 7,000 hospitalized.
So what do you think? This is overreaction today?
No.
Okay.
I'm just giving some counter numbers.
Yeah. I don't know, by the way, since we know that there are 280, because 80 are still being investigated, that they might not even be COVID.
Well, we do know the state of Tennessee is now reporting probable, air quotes there, or quotes there, no air quotes to it, quotes there. State of Tennessee now reporting probable cases with confirmed COVID cases.
But for me, though, we mentioned those 200 beds, and there's a total of 3,700, which I don't even think includes the extra beds that we have on Union Avenue in the old Commercial Appeal building. But I don't know what the percentage of total beds, because don't forget there are other sick people that are occupying beds too. But I don't know what those numbers are. I just know that it's my sense anyway from doing all the reading that they decided because of the spike of cases, and there were 256 today that were reported. Now, some of that, though, to me, is part of, and Dr. McCullers, who is the head of the Lebanon and also second, I think, in command of UT Health Sciences. He's the one, by the way, that said we would not have fans at all in the stands in Neyland Stadium earlier this year, and then sort of walked back
in Knox County
on that. In Knox, he said it here because he's here, but he is part of the.
But
UT
Neyland
system.
Stadium is in Knox County.
Yeah. Anyway,
where they've had 5 deaths.
Right. He did say that part of the 256 new cases were actually part of what was a backlog at a testing facility from last week. So you got to bunch that in and keep that in mind. But to me, it's the hospitalization that is the reason that they decided we better be a little bit more patient.
Yeah, there are a lot of numbers, and we want to give them all. We don't want to just give one side of it. The COVID-19 Project website reported for Saturday deaths in the United States for Saturday, and the weekends are always much lower, but for Saturday reported yesterday 358 deaths nationwide. That was the lowest since March 26th.
Those are positive things. I don't want to get it personally. Even if it didn't kill me, I don't want to get it because it affects you. You go through a very
overwhelming that you would recover from it, though. The percentages.
Well, I don't know if it's overwhelming in my age category, but I think it would be because I'm healthy. But I don't want it. I can tell you that, and so I definitely want to be careful.
I don't either. I don't want tonsillitis either, but I sure don't want coronavirus.
Well, I think your odds right now of getting coronavirus are probably better than tonsillitis.
Probably both of them very, very slim, and for it to be fatal would be almost remote. In the state of South Carolina on Saturday, 1 death.
And those are your numbers. So yesterday we had real golf for the first time, and we saw
extra golf.
16 of the top 20 players in the world were there. Correct?
I think that's accurate. Yeah. I don't know if they were on the weekend, but
no,
on Thursday they were.
No. But 16 of the top 20, and we get a playoff that consists of Daniel Berger and Colin Morikawa. That's why you love sports, folks, because there's not anybody that could have predicted, and none of us did, that would be what we would be seeing down the stretch Sunday at Colonial in Fort Worth, Texas. And
it was not a putting exhibition, though.
No.
We'll talk about that with Ted Butler, and I don't know if that was the greens, the rust, or what, but it was not a putting exhibition at all.
I would tell you this, though, seriously. The Xander Schauffele and the Colin Morikawa, 2 putts that were critical to their losses, both of those seem to me, maybe Ted will argue with me, they seem to me to be pretty good strokes. They just hit the ball a little too hard, or those greens
Sometimes
and the
miss.
cups were just so sensitive because didn't you think those were decent strokes?
There were a lot of lip outs, pretty severe lip outs for a lot of people yesterday. Almost 360 ball goes almost hidden a couple of times and pop back out, but that's why it's a funny game.
Well, we've been playing, they have those little noodle things they put at the bottom of the cups now, or they did, in Memphis and in Mississippi. When you were playing golf courses around here, and I would always say, man, if it lipped out, that was the sponge. That should be good. That was the sponge that's inside there.
Count it.
But they couldn't say that at the Colonial, at the Charles Schwab.
It went off well, and we needed it to. Now on to Hilton Head. That's usually the weekend after the Masters in April. That tournament yesterday, usually a mid-May event. And we had Rex Hoggard on week or so ago Thursday, and he thought it would be a single-digit winner. They're that good. It wasn't close to that, and if they had made some putts, it'd have been closer to 20 than it was to single digits. But now to Hilton Head for the entire tour, another great field there. I don't know if anybody's tracking Tiger's yacht this week.
No, they're not. Once he didn't commit last Friday, everybody stopped looking for yacht numbers. That is for sure.
Kind of back to the virus, one of the notable positives today from the sports world was Zeke Elliott for the Dallas Cowboys. The news that he was positive, his agent released the news. Zeke Elliott later tweeted out HIPAA, all caps, question mark. Zeke, it wasn't the media. Go talk to your agent. He's the one that told the world about your medical condition and said about his medical condition that if he had not tested positive, there's no way you could have ever been able to tell that he was fine.
Right.
Not a sniffle, not a low-grade fever, not a body ache, not anything.
So that, to me, was telling. I read the tweet. I saw that it was his agent. I've seen now there are other Cowboys and Dallas Texans also apparently tested positive.
Houston Texans.
Yes. And remember, They didn't get this from being together. They got this now. They've come together and they're getting tested. So this is not a problem from something that occurred at their facilities. It was brought to the facilities by players who were just reporting. The issue, the key thing that I read in that with the HIPAA is now we know, and we got our answer because we were wondering last week, if a player is listed not able to perform, will we get why? And the answer is going to be no. We'll never know if the guy twisted his ankle or whether he tested positive for COVID. Maybe you'll be able to tell at a practice if the player is not present. But obviously, when a player is saying right away, HIPAA, how in the heck did that get out, even though it was his own agent? We know what the mentality is going to be here. Players are not going to want to let folks know what it is.
And as we get into the season, is that a Thursday afternoon thing? Is that a Friday thing? Is that is that right before kickoff thing? How would that violate the NFL's rules about the injury report? And we know why the injury report exists. It exists for Las Vegas and gambling, for information for everybody to be able to bet on the games, on as much as they can on the up and up. But would it be a last-second scratch? College or pro, and college a little different since it is a youngster. It's not a technically paid employee. So we'll have to see how that progresses. We're going to need preseason NFL just for what it usually is. It's usually a big test lab, both for the networks to get ready to do the games and for the teams for some players to make the team and some players to see who's better than others. And this year, to try to wade through the world of the virus, if we have a college football season, I don't think everything out there into the big kettle that makes up the stew of sports is tacking in the direction of positivity for football.
Well, a Bleacher Report story this afternoon, by the way, says one coach has now thinking that the NFL needs to delay the season, particularly after the Houston and Dallas tests came back. That coach, he's not named, said it was a scary situation and that they should think about maybe delaying the start of the season. I think we're a long way from making those decisions. That's the other aspect.
Well, we are, but and David, what are we going to have the stomach for? I mean, 115,000 deaths, that's a lot. The chance of on a college campus of infecting older professors or going back home. With that news also that today out of Florida, the number of freshmen with paid deposits to go to Florida down about 1% compared to this time last year, but much above the goal and some of their worst fears for. That's one place, but that's a pretty big and great public school at the University of Florida. So we're gonna see what we had to test for because we're so far removed from flattening the curve, not to strain our medical facilities. Now we are almost into full-fledged. We don't want a single soul getting it, much less dying from it, and that would be close to impossible.
No, that would be impossible. That is just not going to happen, but you want to see cases decrease, not increase. And
Cases are only going to increase as long as testing increases. It's incongruent to think it would be otherwise.
There is truth to that. There is absolute truth to that. I do think we want to have testing so that we know at some point when indeed truly we get to the other side of the mountain and we see that we are descending from this, and we may not until we get treatment. I don't know what the case will be there, and I'm not sure the medical experts know exactly what the answers are either, because we get different models all the time and they change every week. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. The point I was trying to make is that it's awfully difficult to be calling for delays of seasons when they don't begin for a few months. We've got to wait and see just exactly how it plays out. You can make plans. I'm not saying don't make plans, but I'm saying to make final decisions on things. For instance, for bowl games, say that are almost 6 months away. That's just to me a little bit crazy, because I don't think we have enough information to make reasonable decisions.
Alabama with a 90% renewal so far of their season tickets. Ohio State, 87% renewal of their season tickets. So,
how about Ohio State?
Those two.
Since you brought that up, Ohio State players were asked to sign risk waivers before
as were
returning
SMU players
to voluntary workouts. So we had brought this up. I mean, you may have to sign a waiver to go into a ballpark, and as a player, you may have to sign a waiver to be on the team.
And if you don't want to sign it, you don't have to play, and you sure don't have to go. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity sales event. Next Sunday is Dad's Big Day. Great offers on all 2020 models and always special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus too. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, that is the news, that because of the spike and the uppage of hospital rooms, that Phase 2 will continue. We are not moving to Phase 3, 256 new cases. Hospitalizations now up to 200, 122 acute care beds being used, 78 intensive care. That's all for COVID. There are 80 being investigated. We now are approaching the 7,000 mark in terms of cases in Shelby County, still at 139 fatalities. Dr. John McCullers said that a part of the increase in cases today was due to a backlog from a testing center. So some of that total of 256, and I think we got to take that into account, literally came from back as far as last Thursday from one testing center. I don't know the exact numbers. We are over 30,000 in the state of Tennessee with 475 fatalities. In Mississippi, we approach 20,000, 19,799 with 895 who have perished. And in Arkansas, 12,501 with 179 fatalities. In the United States, 2,171,000 cases, 118,000 have passed away. We've had 25 million tests now given, and 875,000 have recovered. On the world dashboard, 8 million now. 8,062,437,000 deaths and almost 4 million recoveries.
My top story today, we don't have sports, but we did for the last 4 days. So today makes it 92 days without sports, but we had the Schwab, and it went over well, and we needed it. Golf was the last event played before the shutdown, and it was the first one back. Somebody had to be, and it made sense that it would be golf. And now today, on day 92 without sports, we wait until Thursday to resume again. Baseball seems hopeless, and the NBA even seems a little bit shaky. Dwight Howard, who's made in his career, 16-year career, and headed to the Basketball Hall of Fame, he's made $238 million. He earned every cent of it. Every cent of it. He says he's not going to play.
Well, Kyrie Irving, who's also one of those that has brought to light where they think because of public awareness of the Black Lives Matters that they shouldn't play. What is he? He's made quite a bit of money himself, and you know, everybody's got their own opinion. To me, eschewing generational wealth that could be put, or using the platform of the games to broaden the spotlight on Black Lives Matters makes more sense to me than not playing at all. But that's just how I view it. And there is a good faction of players that think it would take away from the movement, and therefore they are vocal about not resuming play. And this is certainly not a done deal.
Not top story of the day.
Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes finally made their move. They parted ways with their strength coach, Chris Doyle. That was effective yesterday. He'd been there in Iowa City since 1999. He was the highest paid strength coach in America, $800,000 a year, to be jettisoned away. And he's been with their head coach, Kirk Ferentz, forever. To be jettisoned away, he gets 15 months of pay and benefits.
Doesn't sound like it was with cause to pay you that much money and keep you on the health insurance.
Sure doesn't.
My not top story, you mentioned him. Mr. Flat Earth Society himself, Kyrie Irving. He's made almost $100 million so far in his career, and over the next 3 years, he's going to make another $100 over the next 3 years. So he's going to be around $200. He wasn't going to play even with the restart because he's injured,
right,
and he's telling others that they shouldn't play.
I know.
Pretty easy to do that when you're sitting on $200 million.
It is. It is a lot easier than a guy who's just come into the league or a guy who's been a veteran and hangs on and he's amassed wealth. It might not be generational wealth or two generational wealth, but he's trying to hold on to his livelihood. It is interesting, and we'll see how they sort this out. It certainly does not appear that if indeed they restart, that the stars will all be there, because I'm beginning to believe that will not be the case. And we see from Dwight Howard, I don't know if you can still consider him a great star, but he is one who's already said it, count me out. And we could have more coming, that is for sure. We've got a very, very busy show today. Those are your top and not top stories. Coming up at the bottom of the hour in just a little bit, Ted Butler will join us, and Ted will talk about the golf tournament yesterday, the one coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I guess we'll have to give the numbers of our pick contest from over the weekend. David Cobb will join us at 4 o'clock to talk college athletics. Ron Tillery, the former only beat writer the Grizzlies had ever known. Now they've had a few since that point in time. But Ron Tillery will join us on all of the debate on what's going on in the National Basketball Association. And we'll talk more college sports, in particular college football, with Barrett Jones, the former Alabama great, who's now part of ESPN and the SEC Network. He'll come your way at 5. We are officially underway on this Monday. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7 and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Hi, I'm Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Five Ash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Five Ash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You get into bed and find your mind still going? If so, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's liquid melatonin. It's made with an optimal level of melatonin for no next day grogginess. Pure Z's liquid melatonin, because sleep is a beautiful thing, at stores now.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you. First Bank is here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, or wanting a competitive rate on your CD deposits. Let First Bank try to handle your banking needs. Stop into one of First Bank's 3 local branches today. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or check them out online at firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome in on this Monday. I always love Mondays and chatting with Ted Butler. We get to talk golf. This time we get to talk real golf with Ted because we did. We had the beginning, I guess it was, 9 straight weeks or how many weeks off before it was 13 weeks, I guess it was. So we had no golf at all for real. And finally, we got some yesterday. We even got extra golf with a playoff in a surprising way. Ted Butler joins us now. So was there rustiness? Was there just poor putting? Was there just bad luck? What do you think happened yesterday to some of the bigger names in golf? Good afternoon, Ted.
Good afternoon, guys. I think a little bit of both. You know, the whole final round, putts from 10 feet, 12 feet, they all seem to be dying off at the hole. You know, I don't know whether the grain grew a little bit or what happened. The strokes didn't look terribly bad, but if you're not putting to win a tournament in 2 months, you got to have some nerves going on. You know, those guys are too good at putters to miss 2-footers, 2.5-footers, and that one 360 putt, that was impossible. But they had to be a little bit nervous, yeah.
When you look at a guy like Schauffele or even Morikawa, I said this before, I thought both those putting strokes for Morikawa, it would have been on 17 or 18, I should say. 17, he didn't get it quite to the hole or that would have won the tournament for him. That could have been the grain. But I thought on 18 when he lipped out in the playoff, that was a good stroke. Schauffele really hurt himself. He could have won the tournament in regulation. He had a putt on 17 that was now called the horseshoe where it went all the way around. I thought that was right down the middle. Both those putts were a little bit harder than maybe they should have been, but those look like good strokes. That didn't look like nerves to me.
Well, it's really, on TV, it's hard to tell, you know, and the angle they showed the stroke from, you know, it's not like they shoved it 2 inches out of the hole right there. they're close enough. But got there and trying to make a putt for $1 million when you hadn't competed in a few weeks. A little bit of both. I was astonished by the misses though, and the one that Speed missed. I mean, he can't miss 2-footer, foot and a half. So I don't know. But these guys, they're going to make that course obsolete by how far they hit the ball. That I remember in the old days they'd be hitting 7 irons in 18, and now they're trying to drive the green and hitting wedges to every hole. The only way to help is they're going to narrow the fairways to about 20 yards and grow the rough to 8 inches, because these guys are hitting wedges to every par 4.
And put a bunker in the middle of the green. I don't know what they're going to do, Ted. And Bryson DeChambeau is the kind of the example of just beefcake golf. He is bulked up, and he's swinging, trying to knock it over the moon on every tee box just as hard as you possibly can swing. He has gained 30 pounds. U.S. Open champion Gary Woodland, he's lost 30 pounds. Who's right, if either?
I just can't believe that DeChambeau's body can last like it is. A lot of guys do that, weightlifters and stuff. My son went through it one time. He's a little guy, and he wanted to get really muscular, and he did all that protein drinks and all that, and it hurt his golf. It's just a lot to move around. You got to walk all those holes, and I don't know if DeChambeau knows more than all of us, but he certainly knows more about a golf swing than seems like anybody. But I think Woodland's idea is better. Slim up a little bit, swings a little smoother. But DeChambeau's got a whole different idea on everything. He wants to be the longest driver, wants to shoot the lowest scores, and he might do it. You just wonder how long it'll last.
I'm with you. I don't see how that could be. First of all, I thought he was proportionately built very nicely last year, and you're putting 30 extra pounds on your joints and on your spine as you try to turn the way they turn. Man, I'm with you. I don't think that is a long-term solution. Since you brought up Gary Woodland, what's happened to his iron play? I mean, he was great at recovering, but I mean, some of his shots were really misses, and I'm not talking just misses. I'm talking 20 yards right or left.
Well, I don't know if it's really nerves, but competition is just different. You get out there and you get a half inch off on your downswing path, or you come over the top a little bit and get a little bit of a jumper. It's like DeChambeau shot on 17. He couldn't explain it either. He just pulled some kind of iron way left. It's like Dottie Pepper says, golf's hard.
Ted, it is very hard, and we will be fanless again this week. We'll be fanless next week in Connecticut, and then one more. I think that will be the event in Detroit. I'm still waiting to see if that goes off with as tough as government has been on anything up there. Really. And then we'll get in to the back-to-back weeks at the Memorial. I'm doing all this to get around to it, and we've gone 5 minutes and 24 seconds without mentioning his name. I want to see Tiger at one of these fanless events just where he can see what it's like to be like Morris Satolsky.
There's a name from the past. Oh, good old Morris. He's a good
or
guy,
Ed Fiore.
Really, dig him out of the hat now.
Yeah.
Well, Tiger did okay without fans in the match with Brady and Phil and those guys. I miss the fans. You like to hear some noise when a guy drains a 40-footer, or they just raise their fist and kind of raise their finger or something. It just doesn't seem quite right, but it's better than no golf, I'll say that.
But for Tiger, who has been in the public eye since he was literally 2.5 years old on the Mike Douglas show, just one time go and play in somewhat anonymity, not as soon as he sticks his head out of the locker room, Tiger, 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 and everybody kind of pawing at him. I would like to see just one time him play just sticking a ball.
Well, it might affect him. I don't know. It's he's played through a lot of different situations. I don't see where that might be interesting for fans, but Tiger's a different guy. When he gets on the golf course, it's just he and the golf course, and he shuts everything else out. The way he stops on his swing halfway down at 100 miles an hour, other guys can't do that. And his focus is so deep and so strong. I don't think it bothered him at all.
I don't understand why he did not play in either of these first two events. It's clear by the way he played in the match that he's healthy. He hit every shot that he wanted to in those tough conditions at his home course in Florida. And he gave us like a tease, like, whoa, this guy, wow, he's going to win. He's going to win a few times this year. He can get some majors. I think even you said he could win 2 Masters tournaments in a matter of, 14, 15 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
6 months.
And now he isn't committing to anything. I mean, I thought for sure, okay, if he doesn't play at Fort Worth, he's certainly going to play at Hilton Head, especially since he could put the boat in the marina. He's safely, socially distancing. He's in his own place. I mean, it's a perfect setup. I am somewhat disappointed, but also absolutely confused as to why he's not playing.
Well, it is a little bewildering, but he may not like Harbor Town. May not like that golf course. There's nothing terribly terrifying about it. Small greens, and as good an iron player as he is, you'd think he'd be hitting 2 irons off the tee. And I don't know. I don't know. Who knows what Tiger thinks? I'm surprised by the yacht.
Yeah, me too. And then there was Phil Mickelson, who was there. He did not make the cut. He was playing with looked like he almost had a face shield on with those welder glasses he had on. And in the last few years, hadn't it been mercurial for him? Weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, the some of the swing changes. Where is Phil Mickelson approaching 50?
I don't know. He went through the hard working out, and then he went through that 6-day fasting period where he ate nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They had in Golf Digest. It was a crazy diet. I don't know how you do that. I guess you just don't eat at all. But I don't know what he's thinking. He's the only guy that swings as hard as DeChambeau. And why does he do that? I mean, 50 years old now. He almost seems like he's going to hurt himself somewhere. And what difference does 15 more yards make?
The interesting aspect is, since you mentioned that diet, the one thing I'm going to give Phil a lot of credit for, he did that diet. He has not put the weight back on. He has kept the weight off since he did that. So he has shown some pretty darn good discipline in that regard. And that, to me, gives way for him to last longer with less weight being carried. I don't think his game is up to snuff. I think we saw that in the match. We saw it again where he didn't make the cut here, even though, after the first day, he was like 3 under going into the last couple of holes on day one, and he just never got his act together. I think the guy would, if he was a normal sort of guy, he would then go to the senior tour, at least for half the year, and he would kill him there because he's still got good distance, and we know what a short game he's got. But I don't think he wants to do that. I think he still thinks he can win on the big boy tour.
I can't imagine Phil playing the senior tour yet. I mean,
that's exhibition football.
Maybe ever. Look, he still wants to play against Tiger and these guys. He don't want to go out and play against the old guys. I just don't. Phil's hard to figure out anyway. He and DeChambeau are both kind of different parts of the planet, but Phil can get off so quick. We're playing 10, 11, 12 great holes in a row. All of a sudden, he can't hit the world. His driver, his irons, and even his short game sometimes. He hits a few chili dips here and there, and his putting, who knows? He's fun to watch. I mean, he brings out the crowd if there was any.
Yeah, Phil playing the senior tour would be like Alabama going to the Bahamas Bowl. He wouldn't be caught there. Luke List did play the Korn Ferry Tour that drew a lot of criticism to Vijay Singh.
Right.
Now, they're far different biographies with the two. Luke List, who was in the Players Championship when golf was last being played, and then this weekend goes and wins on Korn Ferry. He had every right to play, but it had to be somebody out there on Korn Ferry thinking, look, you've already made it on that other one. What are you doing down here?
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see him there. Yeah, he didn't lose any status or anything, did he? I don't know.
Not if he was.
No, he was in the Players Championship in March.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I guess I don't know. But
well, this field was so good. I'm not sure he could have gotten in here, and he wanted to play. These guys want to play
and had every right to. But
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
He did, and it's different than VJ.
Oh yeah.
Going the other way. The youngsters coming up. There's three guys that come to my mind. I think they're buddies. I think they've all won a tournament so far. One of them was prominent yesterday, Colin Morikawa. Then there's Matthew Wolff and, Victor Hovland?
Hovland.
Right, Hovland, right.
Those three guys seem to be the next of the next generations, and they're awfully good.
They are. They're
There's
really
a million
good, and
of
they're hungry. Yeah, they know how to win from college. You win college tournaments now, and it's like winning a professional event. And they can all do it. It's they're really good. But I think notice in my great pick from last week that this was going to be Rory's really breakout year until he shoots 41 on the front nine yesterday. How can that happen?
That is because golf is a cruel game. Look what happened to Morikawa and Xander Schauffele at the end there, where it looks like you make good shots and everything erodes. I guess that's why. But there are so many good players out there, guys that we thought would be great in this tournament. Rahm and McIlroy, they're up against guys. And Daniel Berger. Here's the great thing about Daniel Berger, and I think it was Baker Ian Finch that pointed this out. He's won 3 tournaments now, right? Memphis twice, and this tournament yesterday. All 3 of his wins have come in the second month of June. Is that not strange?
It is strange. Didn't realize that. When he gets close like that, he wins.
Well, he was coming back from that wrist injury, and I give him credit. There were some people that thought Daniel Berger would be washed up because his wrist was screwed up. And, somehow he persevered and got it back together toward the end of last year, and now here's another W for him on a, and he probably need to win one on a course other than TPC Southwind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be interesting with the Memorial stuff coming up, and they're playing Jacks twice, right?
Yes, in a row.
Huh. We don't expect Tiger to play 2 weeks in a row, then, do we? Or at all?
Well, if he plays 2 weeks in a row, I hope it's the Memorial right to Memphis because those are back to back. And I have a hard time with that too because then he'd have to play 3 weeks in a row because then you're going to the PGA.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't know. He's probably got his schedule all figured out somewhere and just he's got his mindset of what he's going to do. I'll be surprised if he comes to Memphis.
If he does have a schedule in mind, why wouldn't he just release it? That's where I don't understand.
Well, you're right. I mean, maybe he's got some marketing guy telling him, just keep people on their toes. Make them wonder what you're doing. Don't set it out there. He's got people for everything else.
There's a tournament. There's a tournament between Memphis and the Memorial, the 3M Open in Minneapolis.
Oh, well, that's a good sign. So
Yeah.
is that one, Brett? Is that a with galleries tournament? Because we know Jax is the first. The Memorial will be the first one with people.
But obviously, right now, I think anything in Minneapolis could be tenuous.
Oh, yeah. So with Jax with people, is it going to be a percentage of people, like 20%, or will it be full?
I think no. I think they've already made that decision, even though it's so far away. They made the call at the moment. Let's put it like this. And the key word here that I learned when I went out to Southwind last week is everything is fluid. Okay, so nothing is set in stone.
Nothing's in ink.
But
Yeah.
at the memorial, at this moment, they are saying 20% of capacity is what they will have, and they are really incredibly serious about social distancing. They're going to have markers down on the ground as to where you can stand and how far apart you should be, and they're going to be ultra sensitive. And here in Memphis, it's going to be much smaller than it's ever been before. It will not look the same.
Well, I want to see a social distancing if Tiger starts making a run somewhere. And the galleries start going crazy, and how are they going to do that?
Well, there won't be a lot of gallery, but here's what I'll be very curious about. All those homeowners around Southwind, how many will they have in their backyards? How many will build scaffolding or bleachers like the way they did across the street from Wrigley Field or Fenway Park? How many of those will be built? And I don't have the answer to that. But if you can't get into the venue, you can't control what the neighbors are going to do.
No. There's some pretty good views from some of those houses too. That'd be interesting.
You give
Strange
less
when you don't know what's happening.
You know what? Ted Butler's already thinking. I hear it happening in his head. Those wheels are turning. He's going, do I give lessons to anybody who lives on Southwind?
Actually, yes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, what do you expect this week? It is weird without fans. It really is. There were on one hole, and I can't remember who was playing, but there were some people. Maybe they were workers or TV people, but they were like cheering, and I thought to myself, are they piping in crowd sound? But I don't think they did. It is weird. What do you expect at Hilton Head?
You mean a winner or what? A number or what?
Yeah, winner. You think Rory McIlroy will bounce back? Do you?
It doesn't seem like his kind of golf course. It's kind of short and tight, and he's a bully on the big ones. But I don't know. There's so many right now. Davis Love's not playing. He's won it 5 times, right?
Right.
He's not playing. I don't know. Maybe Spieth probably won't. His wheels came off down the stretch too, didn't they?
Well, he got it back a little bit, but you can't miss 2-footers. That he did it a couple of times.
What did he need to drive out of bounds on 17?
I think he did. Yeah, you're right. He just loses focus. I don't know what it is about him.
I think if I had to pick somebody, I'd probably pick Schauffele. I mean, he's playing really good golf and has been. He's really steady, and I think if I had to pick a guy this week, it'd be him.
All right. You're on the record. Thank you,
Okay.
Ted. We appreciate it as always. You can catch him at Summer Golf and Games. Easy to get a lesson. He's the best. Thank you, Ted. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Next week.
Ted Butler.
Next week, we will talk golf with Ted Butler, and anytime you can go to either of the commissaries, either the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, delicious and authentic Memphis-style great food. Begin your barbecue feast with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos. They're open right now. You can stop by either place right now. The smoked chicken wings, they are fantastic. Then dig in to the ribs, the barbecue shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a gigantic sandwich, or you can get it on a plate. Comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, and bread as well. You can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. We give away 6 packs of barbecue at the Germantown or Collierville commissary quite often on this show. The salads are great. The chicken plate, the barbecue shrimp, and I mentioned the hot tamales, all dressed with chili, cheese, fresh onions, and then dessert. Best lemon icebox pie anywhere. Terrific banana pudding. 901-754-5540. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. Great party areas. You can get it to go. They got the takeout and on the go down during the virus pandemic lockdown. They're still practicing all the social distancing, mask for all the employees, and as we get closer to football, start thinking about how you're going to tailgate from the Germantown or Collierville commissary. Our friend Walker Taylor's done it the right way. Houston Levy and Poplar are the original in Germantown.
I think we're going to end up going on Friday to that place and see if we can't get a seat
Count
on
me in.
the patio. We take a timeout. We're back with a wrap. We got some numbers we got to go over. That is next.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab-stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of hand-cut fresh steaks, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Father's Day is coming soon, so make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
Build Dad's imagination with a gift from Lowe's this Father's Day. From backyard roller coasters and beyond, power his projects with a Cobalt 24-volt Max XTR power tool starting at $149. When you buy one, you get a 24-volt battery free. How about fixing up the family SUV? Dad can do it with a Craftsman 81-piece mechanics tool set that comes with a lifetime warranty. Only $69.98. Visit Lowe's in-store or online. Cobalt offer valid through 8/3. Craftsman offer valid through 7/31 while supplies last.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I've always wanted to learn another language, but every time I try, it never sticks. So I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and it starts with simple words and phrases, and soon you're putting those words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. The app is really smart. It actually keeps track of the words I'm struggling with so I can practice them and get better. I chose Babbel because it was created by real language teachers. They built it around real life, how people actually communicate, and what they care about. I can't wait to use my new language skills in the real world. Dos cervezas, por favor.
With Babbel, get conversational in Spanish, French, German, and more. It just takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com, Babbel.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. Again, Family Leisure does it all for you. Give a call, schedule an appointment. You can place an order. It's all about safety right now. They actually offer contactless purchasing. So if you make that appointment, they'll come out and they'll get you, and they're really doing a great job of spacing. You'll walk in there, you can walk around. They can give you a catalog if you would like, and then you just say what you want. And I'm going to tell you right now, complete pool packages starting at under $1,600. 24-foot pools begin at under $2,000. $19.99, same price for the 4-person spa. The big swim spa started under $10,000. These high-quality swing sets, for those of you with younger kids, they've been discounted from $34.99 to $21.99. That is a heck of a swing in a lot of different ways. All you got to do is go I-40 and Whidden Road. They're trying to make your backyard a staycation palace. Please go check it out. You'll love what you see at Family Leisure. We get a texter on the First Bank text line 67129. Says Jordan Spieth mentioned some of the putting issues were they weren't putting them out at home. They were just giving each other 3-footers. I didn't think about that. It's pretty insightful.
That's a good catch.
Yeah.
It sure is, and it's why, I think the best practice is everything goes in the cup. Always.
It always is, and I'm as guilty as anybody going, that's good, or I use negotiation. Good. Mm-hmm. Before you.
But especially at that level, and especially, I think around match play time in Presidents or Ryder Cup, I think the two captains are to get to the side and just gentleman's agreement, everything bottom of the cup. And then there's no, well, I gave you that, but you didn't give it back to me. Just everything in the cup.
Yeah.
And there's no ambiguity.
I hate to say it, but I think that's a big part of the charm of the of those competitions. Where
got this breaking news too, Dave, from Sports Media Watch. The seemingly unlikely prospect of Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit moving to Monday Night Football is now becoming more realistic.
Wow.
ESPN planning to use its lead college football broadcast team if the college season is canceled or postponed.
I've actually thought to myself this would be an incredibly difficult chore. But could you see them do both? It would really be hard. Herbstreit is also doing that morning show that, let's face it, that show makes a ton of money.
It's him.
Yeah,
and he's the star.
Reese Davis is a big part of that too, and so is the coach. But the biggest star, I agree, is Herbstreit. And could he do the prep right to do both all that he's doing for that show, the prime game that he does? And
I don't know how you could be at NFL practices on Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, and be prepared for Monday Night Football. We used to have a great show here in Memphis called the Wake Up Crew, and we know who the star was. Kirk Herbstreit, the star, game day.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. By the way, these numbers, first weekend, Drew, tough week. Shock, lock, 0. Tough week
Dave,
for you.
I'm just building up your confidence
your quarterback,
so I can tear you down.
Your quarterback gets tackled by a jet ski. Thank goodness Lamar Jackson was okay. 0 money. Brett and John, both $41,875, and not surprisingly, $181,875, your leader by 140. Charlie, very early. Just the way it seems to be. Back in a minute, we will be joined by David Cobb.
CVS Pharmacy delivers. And right now, to meet the needs of the current health situation, we're offering 1 to 2 day delivery for free. Get prescriptions and other everyday essentials like vitamins, allergy relief, snacks, and more from your local CVS. We understand your concern, and this is just one of the ways we can help you to be prepared and stay well. Visit CVS.com or call your local CVS pharmacy to get started. Restrictions apply. Offer valid on orders with a prescription.
Oh, my stomach.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Try new Pepto-Bismol Chews. The same fast relief of Pepto-Bismol, now in a delightful chew.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a 3-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshyn and Brett Noseworthy.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of the program on a day that Shelby County has decided, let's put the brakes on phase 3, 256 new cases, hospitalizations up to 278 in intensive care. So we will keep our sights on phase 2 for a little bit longer. We've talked a bunch of golf here in the very first hour. Time to turn our attention to some college athletics. Our friend from the CBSSports.com great network, David Cobb, joins us now. David, you've written a couple of interesting stories this week, but Brett and I talked about this a little bit last week. Love your take on it. The Zion Williamson story about improper benefits going to Duke that has come up basically because of a case where one agent was left for another, and the disgruntled agent is disclosing exactly what occurred, or at least what he's saying. Give me your thoughts about why you think this has not gotten as much attention as I thought it might. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I guess. Hey guys, I guess part of it is just the fact that there's a lot else going on to maybe distract from it, but there have been developments in this case on a fairly regular basis over the last really over the last year, but even over the last couple of months, there's been a steady trickle of new documents being released in association with what is essentially 2 court cases. One case being the lawsuit that his former agent filed, and then another one being a countersuit by Zion's team, alleging that she, the former agent, was violating North Carolina law in their business dealings, and so he's trying to get that other lawsuit, the lawsuit against him, thrown out. I think they'll probably end up settling it, but it's super interesting just for the fact that the allegations are pretty spectacular in here in terms of inferring that he got some big-time benefits to go play at Duke, which would surprise absolutely none of us if it were true. But at the same time, allegations do not amount to hard evidence, and I have yet to see any real hard evidence produced from these dueling lawsuits that actually prove that he actually took benefits to go to Duke.
And David, it almost takes the media outlets to make it a story for it to be a story. It's out there. It's on the front page of a lot of different websites, but it's not the intensity that a lot of other places have garnered with illegalities and improprieties around the college sports world. Duke gets that pass. They have. We know the ones that do, college football and college basketball, and we know the ones that don't.
Well, yeah, you're right. I think to a certain extent. I mean, for us, it's somewhat at least driven by the interest in it. And so, I did a couple of stories on it, and they got, decent levels of interest, looking at, like, people want to talk about, like, clickbait and stuff, and all that, but, like if an article gets read 8,000 times versus 80,000 times, we're probably more likely to do another story if it got read 80,000 times or 800,000 times, And so this has been one of those where it's like, do we want to do every evolution of this case? Or do we just sort of want to do the, the more significant ones? And so, right. And so until that smoking gun comes, if it does, I don't know that we're going to do a story every time. Because the fact of the matter is, you can kind of look at this, and this is my amateur interpretation of it. Obviously, I'm not a sports legal expert, but it seems to me as though my take on it is that Zion Williamson sort of got duped into signing with an agent who does not have any NBA clients, has never had any NBA clients, and then realized shortly thereafter that he probably made a mistake. He wanted to get out of it, but of course that agent got him in there and thought that her entire career was going to be made, by this signing, and wants to recoup some of those losses by suing for breach of contract. And so probably some stuff that wasn't above board going on there to get that relationship started in the first place. And, this lady, Gina Ford, is I think, trying to, kind of punch her meal ticket here, because that was what she thought she had done when she signed Zion Williamson. And he realizes he made a bad decision, maybe didn't even fully realize what he was getting into and what he was signing. And then, realizes, hey, you know what, I need to go with CAA or one of the other major agents.
Somebody legit.
And so, which I don't blame him for that. It's just, you wish somebody had maybe had his back and advised him not to go the direction he went in the first place, and this wouldn't be an issue.
And David, I think one of the alarming things was the cost of the living arrangement, $800,000, if indeed that was accurate. But that was the headline grabber last week. I want to quiz David Cobb and David William Woloshin on this. So after the whole investigation, I think we can all agree that it was a pretty thorough investigation. Everything turned over that you can imagine with Ole Miss football. At the end of the whole allegation, in the final NCAA report, what do y'all think the final money number was? Because we heard bags of cash for Laquan Treadwell. He was not even mentioned in the final report. Robert Kimdiche, not mentioned in the final report. Laramie Tunsil, he was, but it was mostly about the user car of the high school car that he showed up in Oxford with, and he was in a 2010 car, set out 7 games. But all the smoke that we heard about in the Ole Miss years, do y'all remember what the final money number was in the final indictment from the NCAA?
I'm going to say to you, guessing here, I know it's really innocuous. It's very low. It might have been, because I don't think you just mentioned that, but wasn't there an accounting for the amount of money that was paid for, I can't remember which player's MLGW bill or their gas bill, their light bill. So, I'm going to say it was like, $3,000.
David?
I have no idea. I don't think it was very much. No, I'm gonna say that.
16,000, and that included Chris Kiffin's couch being charged like it was the presidential suite at the Grand in St. Moritz, Switzerland.
Well, it's interesting because you're right. I don't think the NCAA wants to investigate, but even if they were, a final report like that would only have the things in it that they could prove, And so, how much of anything that goes on at these programs, even after an investigation, is still, hidden? Because I think there's a lot that probably changes hands in some of these cases that can't be proven. And I'm not saying that in the Ole Miss case whatsoever, but
I think they would have proved it if they could.
Well, but if anybody has a system mastered, it's probably Duke. It's probably Duke, and you're right. And the NCAA probably didn't want to come after him, and Duke's probably got things buttoned up pretty dang well. That's what I would say about it.
News today, you wrote the story. I thought it was somewhat interesting. There are calls now by dozens of advocacy groups to move the 2021 men's basketball tournament. Hope that we have one.
Yeah.
Their first and second rounds out of Boise, Idaho, due to a new state law banning transgender women from playing on women's sports teams. What will happen with all of this? You wrote the story. Give me your sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the NCAA, the climate of the NCAA right now is they're just on their heels in so many ways. And I guess they're trying to show their power with coming down hard on Oklahoma State and you know, presumably gearing up to hit some of these other major college basketball programs pretty hard. But in many other ways, the NCAA is on its heels right now. You know, think about the continuous stream of issues that are appearing with the name, image, and likeness matter. And it just seems like nobody's happy with the speed at which they're moving on that. Now, I mean, you've got also just a massive amount of lost revenue because of the no NCAA tournament, a myriad of issues with COVID-19. And so this is something that I think maybe in normal years they could sort of get by without really having to pay much attention to. But, man, they're really on their heels right now. And you know, these groups want them to move the NCAA tournament out of Idaho because of this law, and it wouldn't shock me if they did it because, I mean, the NCAA is I think they're kind of getting tired of being told they're wrong. And, you know, I don't know that they're too worried about making the civic leaders of Boise, Idaho too mad.
Yeah, just the whole – I was talking earlier about the whole brew of college sports right now is really unsettled. There are certainly some good causes being taken up, but there's a toxicity level right now with sports and at college sports that I think is a really strong headwind. David, I'm sorry to say that I will believe we are at college football when we are either watching it on time, late August, early September, when we are watching it on TV or we're out at the ballpark. And now this story today that the great running back, Chuka Hubbard at Oklahoma State, he's mad at his coach and says he's not going to play for Oklahoma State again because of a T-shirt he wore. I've never even heard. I don't even know what the group is. The T-shirt that Mike Gundy had on. Are you familiar with this breaking case?
Yeah, I am. It's like why is Mike Gundy even willing to, you know, jeopardize his relationship with his players and his own image over a network that, like you said, that most people had never even heard of? Like, is it really worth it? Like
do I get this network?
It's called One American News, a far-right news network that has been known to promote conspiracy theories and is often cited by Donald Trump.
So, like, no matter if you like OAN or not, or what you think of it, you have to come back to this. As a football coach, you got to have a read on your team, man. Like,
sure,
it can't be that hard not to make your players mad. Like, you got to know, like, what battles are worth fighting. And, like, I mean, you know, with Gundy, it's kind of been one thing after another over the years, but he's never really, you know, made his players mad. In fact, if you go back to the I'm a man, I'm 40 rant, you know, like over a decade ago now, like that probably helped him a lot in recruiting because the image that a lot of people took from that is that he was going to stand up for his players and protect his players when, you know, the media went after him. You know, but now he's managed to really make his players mad, and he's not the only college coach who's done it. And so, I mean, like that's kind of where I come down on it. It's like, look, no matter what you think about the shirt or if it's, you know, if it's an issue, you got to have a read on the room right now as a coach. And I'm not just talking about your own players. I'm talking about the country. And like, you got to get your head out of the sand here and just be like, hey, like, it's not that hard to not make your players mad, or at least it shouldn't be. And he managed to do it. So that's kind of my only thought on it, is whether you are, you know, mad about what the shirt he wore or not. The fact is, like, this is a prominent college coach who was tone deaf, and, you know, the players are realizing that they have the ability to hold him accountable and to and to stand up when they see something they don't like, even if it's within their own program.
Now, I've got to admit, until today, I'm not sure I had ever heard of this network. I know it gets.
I know I hadn't.
It gets a fraction of the audience of Fox News. So I don't know what Mike Gundy's thinking, because Mike is a different kind of a guy, and you could tell by that rant and rave. Although when Oklahoma State was here for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, I found him to be quite a nice character. But is it possible he didn't even know what that T-shirt was? I mean, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
It's weird. He sort of had an infatuation with him for a while. Like, I know a weird amount about this situation. Actually, like one of my like closest coworkers, who I guess more or less brought this to the forefront. He's covered Oklahoma State in the past. He works for CBS now. His name is Kyle Boone, and I think someone sent him an image of Gundy and some people who were fishing over this past weekend. And Gundy's wearing this shirt, and so Kyle tweeted the picture of it because it's sort of become this thing that he's into. Like, he's mentioned it in interviews before, how he likes this network. Like, it's really good. Like, you never hear college coaches talking about their favorite news network. It's just not something that they do. I don't think most of them have a favorite news network, and if they did, I don't think they would find a reason to bring it up. But for whatever reason, Mike Gundy has brought this channel up in the past, and so the fact that he was seen, wearing the T-shirt was just sort of a continuation of this sort of strange trend. But like you guys mentioned, he's a strange character. So Kyle puts this tweet out there, it gets some attention, and then it really blows up, of course, a few hours later, this afternoon, whenever Chuba Hubbard retweets it and condemns it. And so if you go to Kyle's original tweet, which Chuba retweeted, and you keep scrolling down, you'll see where Gundy's talked about this network before. And he just used the network in a different light than the Wikipedia description does. The Wikipedia description describes it, as a far, right, conspiracy theory promoting network. Gundy thinks that it's unbiased, straightforward news, and he thinks it's a more pleasant viewing experience than what he gets elsewhere. And so he promotes them. He talks about them. It's almost like he's got a sponsorship deal with them. I don't know that he does, but it wouldn't shock me if there's something going on there.
Wow.
Yep, 2020, baby.
Whew, no kidding.
The real reason, just to shed light, is I've been reading up and double-checking everything in the last hour or so since it's breaking. The real reason that him and a lot of other players have a problem with OANN is because when talking about Black Lives Matter movement, they've multiple times referred to them as a criminal organization. And that's the main reason why these athletes have a problem with it.
Yeah, and it seems like it's just the tipping point, too. Like, with some of these instances that we've seen, I mean, the one thing that gets the attention isn't always the only issue. I mean, this may be just the tipping point in terms of, like, I've seen some of the other Oklahoma State players saying that, saying the things that they were called at practice, that were inappropriate, not necessarily racial slurs, but things that were really culturally insensitive and stuff like that. So it could just be another instance of where, the shirt is just the tipping point for some guys who feel like, there's some change that needs to happen along with the broader societal movement right now.
I can see where his players would be offended by that, but you mentioned 2020. Could anybody be offended if somebody had on MSNBC T-shirt in honor of Brian Williams, who has consistently been in trouble for either fabricating or exaggerating truths in his reporting?
I don't know. I mean, to me, it just comes down to the read of the room. I mean, if you're going to go into, if you play golf at a country club and you want to go in there rocking an MSNBC shirt, you can't be upset if your foursome decides they want to replace you with somebody else. And the same goes for college football. If you want to walk into a locker room with a group of players who come from a community and a world that's vastly different than yours and wear an OAN T-shirt, you can't be surprised when they want to replace you. I mean,
that's right.
You know, that's just
now
sort of
with the administration healed to that. Will the administration let them dictate who the coach would be?
I doubt it. There's still too much money flowing through the sport at this time for that to happen.
I would say, though, that you are on the money when you say you have to know your team. And I'm going to give a good example, I think, because I believe it's going to turn out really good for him, and that's Mike Norvell. Mike really did not know his team well enough because he's not had enough time with them. And he sent out that text, and he thought that would be good enough. And he mentioned to a reporter that he had talked to every one of them when he really had just texted them.
He fibbed.
And, he embellished, as Brian Williams has. And he got caught with that. And honestly, I think if he had done that with the Memphis teams that he had already known and recruited here, nothing happens. But because Melvin Wilson, isn't that his name? Is it Marvin Wilson?
Marvin Wilson, the D tackle at
Marvin,
FSU.
yeah, who's a terrific player and a leader. Well, he took offense to that, and honestly, it turned out I think what will be great for Mike, because Mike said, "Look, I'm wrong," right away, and brought everybody in and let everybody talk it out, and now they're his team, and they have a trust with him now, and so I think that worked out right. I don't know what Gundy does here, but he should know his team because he recruited everyone there, including Hubbard.
All right, following those lines, I'm with you, Dave, and I think it was early in the tenure for Mike Norvell where some of the trust had not been really solidified. But going forward, let's say star player on a Thursday night that everybody knows around a college campus is pretty fun. He violates curfew. Is he strict with you're not playing Saturday for violating curfew? If you can be that upset over a fib, over an embellishment, can the coach then be that upset over a curfew violation?
I mean, I would think so. I think that would be something that would pretty routinely get a player in trouble. I mean, right? Like, wouldn't a curfew violation on the eve of a game or a night or two before a game be something that could regularly get a player in trouble? Something that probably does get a player in trouble?
Historically, it has, but there have been cases when he's been good enough that it wasn't that big a deal.
Right. Well, on the flip side, if this is a backup defensive back who speaks out against Gundy, it doesn't get nearly the attention. But it's Chuba Hubbard who's speaking out against Mike Gundy, and so it's getting a lot of attention. So, I mean, it's another example of how much power those star players have. Because if Chuba Hubbard violates curfew, they might not let him play the first series. But if the backup defensive back violates curfew, he might get a whole game, And so it swings both ways now, because that backup DV criticizes Mike Gundy. It might get a couple of articles and a little bit of attention, but the backlash won't be nearly what this is. But since it's Chuba Hubbard, everything is magnified.
Well, but if we're going to take that purity test on fibbing, then you told me you weren't going to be late. You were. I told you I wasn't going to send out a text that had a thumb on the scale. So if we're going to have that purity test on fibbing, it can work. It can cut both ways. I think it should.
Yeah, but that doesn't really work in the real world. Let's be honest. That's too logical. That's too transparent. I think a smart coach on something like that, I've watched coaches, and a lot of them over the years. Let's just say when you're leaving for the stadium, a lot of times that coach doesn't get on the bus until the star player is on the bus, and then everybody goes. So nobody can be late that way. And if you're going to take somebody and you're going to punish them for missing what is curfew, usually – the media, the fans, they're not going to know. The team's going to know, and the guy might sit out, but you're not going to know why. And they're going to keep that as a team thing. But you should enact some. There has to be some accountability when you're dealing with a whole team, because that person, if they are late with curfew or late for the bus, they're being irresponsible to the whole team, not just themselves. Anyway, I don't think there will be I have no idea what will happen with this. I suspect that Gundy will go to Hubbard and try to make things right. That would be the number one thing. I don't think this is an offense that Gundy gets fired for, but I'm with you, David. I think it's not a very bright move on his part. He's got to know what his team is all about, and he just upset a whole bunch of guys on his team.
Exactly. That's to me what it comes down to. A great coach would have a better read than that. I mean, Gundy's a good coach. Kirk Ferentz is
great
a good coach.
Mike Gundy's the all-timer at Oklahoma State. I mean, he's the Bear Bryant of Oklahoma State.
Well, that's why he's going to get through this. I mean, because Kirk Ferentz got through, it seems right now that Kirk Ferentz is going to get through what's going on in Iowa. And I think Mike Gundy will get through what's going on at Oklahoma State because there's nobody more revered in their history than him. Think about this, guys. So, when Tennessee lands on Jeremy Pruitt, and just if you want to go into stereotypes, this guy with a southern drawl from Alabama who spent his entire life in the South and whatever. Who would have thought that they'd be getting the much more sort of, I don't know, the better leader in this time than a lot of the other candidates they looked at? Because Tennessee went after Mike Gundy.
Right.
Well, Tennessee went after Gundy. They went after Mike Leach, and both those guys have managed to make their players mad. And they're short, in this short window of this movement in 2020. Like Leach is in hot water with his players. Gundy is obviously in hot water with his players. And Jeremy Pruitt emerged as sort of a model of how you support, your players during this wider societal movement. And I maybe wouldn't have predicted that, but I mean, I guess you got to give him his kudos for that because some of these coaches are doing it right. And so, we talk about Gundy and Ferentz and some of these other guys who don't know how to read their teams, but then there's some other coaches who, whatever their motives may be, I think are really like taking the right stance on this and backing their players. And I think that's really going to pay off for them.
I think that's on the money. I do. And I got to give Brian Silverfield a lot of credit. He was on that 6-mile walk yesterday, and he talked about listening, which is a theme I think that a lot of the Memphis coaches and athletic director have said. And I think you do have to learn how to listen, and that's, if I were Gundy, that's what I would say. I've listened. I made a mistake. I was wrong, and move on from there. And the difference with Ferentz and with Gundy here is the Iowa situation had a fall guy, so they let go of Chris Doyle. Gundy doesn't have that luxury.
Yeah, that's a good point, Wolo.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it, as always. We'll talk to you next
Dave.
week.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Talk to you next.
That is our friend David Cobb. By the way, baseball, what a joke. So now
they can't stop, can they?
The commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, has now said, well, I'm not 100% certain there will be a baseball season. Where does Rob Manfred, how does he go back and forth on this and get away with it?
Because he's a clown?
I guess so. This hour of the program is presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. 120 days to make your first payment on select models right now at Homer, Skelton Hyundai, and Genesis. I'm talking on some select models. You can either get a Hyundai or a Genesis luxury car, not make your first payment for the first 120 days. Some deals, they're 90 days, and 0% financing for 84 months. They want to motivate you to come. This is why they're always thinking ahead of the box, why I think they are the bar that has been set for the way car business should be done. And you know this technology in these Hyundais. And then even a step higher in the Genesis cars, it's amazing. You get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new car, and I'll tell you something else. You feel safe. The technology makes you feel safe. And the performance, well, that's the part you just fall in love with. All you got to do is get on Lamar. Get into Mississippi, exit 1 is Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang. They've all been together for a long, long time. Part of the reason why the business is done so well at Homer, Skelton Hyundai, and Genesis of Olive Branch. When we come back, we'll switch gears. We'll talk NBA. Our friend Ron Tillery is next.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer for Sunrise Chevy. Good news for new and used car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has a great selection of new and used cars and trucks, rebates up to $6,500, and interest rates low as 0%. At sunrisememphis.com, you can select your vehicle, get your trade appraised, arrange financing and delivery. We'll deliver right to your doorstep, disinfected and ready to go. No matter what your past credit, Sunrise wants to get you financed. Immediate financing with next to nothing down. Need service or body work? Bring it to Sunrise or schedule an appointment online. Find new roads to Sunrise Chevy, 385 in Houston Levy, Collierville.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
With thousands of locally owned Napa stores across the nation, chances are that wherever you call home, we do too. So as America starts opening back up for business, and as more of us start getting back out there again, we'll be in big cities, small towns, and everywhere in between, doing what we've always done to help keep our local communities moving forward. So whether you stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, Auto Care Center, or visit us at Napa Online, you can count on Napa know-how.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. Wolo and Stats with you. And we are about to talk a little bit more about the NBA. You know, if you'd asked me a week ago, Brett Norsworthy, I would have said for sure, no doubt in my mind, the NBA, with their relationship between players, commissioner, owners, the way the whole thing works, there's no doubt. He's come up with a plan. Everybody thought it was a pretty equitable plan. Money wasn't an issue. No doubt that there was going to be a bubble protection, and this thing was going to happen down in Orlando. Now,
I wouldn't have.
I don't know.
And I didn't. I wouldn't have a week ago, wouldn't have 2 weeks ago. I have been for a while. I've got to see it start, and I got to see it completed before I'm going to believe anything happens.
Well, let's bring in a guy who covered the NBA for a couple of decades or more. That is Ron Tillery, the former only beat writer the Grizzlies have ever known. You know, you did it all those years. Now we've had how many guys who've had the gig since you left? Quite a bit.
I think it was your last guest, and now they have a temp. So I would say I did 17 of the 19.
There you go. All right, Ron, tell me this: Do you believe we'll have this get together in Orlando with a bubble? And the way that Adam Silver has put this together, will that really happen July 31st?
And should we?
I think it'll happen, but I don't think it'll happen as presented. And I'll tell you why. And rarely am I not really pointed in my opinion, but I can see this from all different directions. And the reality is there are a lot of guys that just don't want to walk into that bubble.
Right.
And that's the real thing, because I know I take this coronavirus thing very seriously, and I know a lot of these other guys do, and there's just too many moving parts to this. It's so fluid in terms of, so will the maintenance people at the hotel get to come and go, or will they be quarantined? Will the maid service be quarantined? quarantined, and will they get to come and go? Will the food service people be quarantined with the players for 3 or 4 months, or will they get to come and go? And so it's just not as simple. The bubble sounds good, but it just is not as simple as that. And I think part of the problem is they just rely, in terms of the players, on the executive committee. They didn't talk to the rank and file. And that's where we're at now. That's why we got Kyrie Irving talking. That's why we got Dwight Howard talking, because they got a lot of rank and file people saying, hold up, I don't understand this. The flip side of that is the NBA wants to recoup money, and that's what it's all about. But I tell you what, I understand that, but if I personally have a nice little bank account, I'm not going.
You're not going because you're fearful? Is that why? Or
yeah.
That's not the only reason. You know, I have heard, and I believe these guys to be sincere, that they don't want to distract away from Black Lives Matter's movement, that they think this is a threshold moment, and it truly probably is, to a certain extent, where they want all their efforts to be pointed in the protests and to keep the attention on that, where this would distract away from that. Personally, and you might have better insight on this than I do, but I view this as an opportunity where you could use that bubble, use those players who are amassing some wealth, maybe even get the NBA to pledge some funds, and to use this to basically broaden the platform, put more of a spotlight on it, and it would not be a distraction in my mind. I think it could elevate the movement if you used it as such.
Well, I believe two things about that. It's one thing to distract from the pandemic, when we were quarantined for 3 months and we had The Last Dance, and then you had the ESPN production of the horse games with the players. That was a nice distraction from the quarantine. But this is not anything, when you talk about Black Lives Matter, to be distracted from. That's one. So I can understand the players who feel like that they don't need to be front and center when the streets are talking. That's where I agree with Dave Chappelle. I don't know if you guys saw Dave Chappelle's special recently, but there was a lot of media talking about how celebrities should speak out, and his main point was, why should I come out and distract from the fact that the streets are talking? That's what the protests are about. Number two, platform. Everybody talks about the NBA being such a big platform. You know what? And you're the perfect person to talk to this about, Dave, because you're in TV. How many people watch an NBA game? Probably 15 to 20 million people on any given night.
I don't know the number, but that sounds kind of high, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So what I did was I said, let me go see how many people follow LeBron James on Twitter. And I don't do anything but Twitter. I don't do Instagram. I don't do Facebook. But I went to Twitter. LeBron James has in excess of 46 million people following him. He's got a platform. These young guys are on the street protesting with the common people, and anytime somebody sticks a camera in their face, they got a platform. There's nothing for them to get on Zoom or whatever video conference thing with any cable TV station, because they've been doing it. I've seen Charles Barkley and all kind of people for weeks get on that. That's a platform. They don't need the NBA to have a platform for this cause. They can do it on their own. It's not like the 50s and the 60s. And I want people to understand me when I say this, because I'm not trying to compare. I'm just saying, back then, Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Jim Brown, Kareem, they called press conferences and they addressed this stuff. We didn't have social media. We didn't have the ability back then to go out and just speak on it. So in essence, if guys don't want to play additionally outside of the pandemic and because of Black Lives Matter, then they're essentially doing what Muhammad Ali did, and he was willing to sacrifice money and his status and his sport to not go to the war. So,
but the difference was an individual sport versus a team sport, and how long could that team acquiesce and be patient to the street talking and them listening to it? What if it was a year, 2 years? And in this scenario, and this is an extreme hypothetical, Ron, and I preface it with it being that. Let's say, and boy, wouldn't we love if this would be the case? Let's throw out no pandemic, but sadly, what happened 3 weeks ago today, on March 25th, on Memorial Day afternoon, occurred in Minneapolis. The NBA would have been at or near the conference finals times. Baseball would have been around 70 games played or so. Would the entire sports world had shut down then if that had been the case? Because I think the outrage, and it rightly so, would still have been very, very loud and very prevalent. But would we have stopped the NBA season if that had happened?
Probably not. You would have just had guys. I see your point. You would have had guys just using their platform to raise awareness to it. But see, I think the NBA painted themselves in a corner from two perspectives. A, they shut down the league as soon as they had a case of coronavirus. One case. They shut it down. Now, they go into this bubble. See, I don't like this bubble thing. I never thought they should come back. But okay, so they're talking about the bubble. So now if 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 stars get the corona, they're going to treat it like an injury. They're just going to send them away. They're not going to shut it down because they painted themselves into a corner. And they've also painted themselves in a corner in the sense that you got players who have the option. They said, you will not be fined, you will not be suspended, you can play or not play.
Right.
You know? And so, like I said, if you're sitting on a bank account that's healthy, I'm not going.
Well, and that's a big difference, since you mentioned Muhammad Ali. When Muhammad Ali took his stance, and he lost 3 years of income, and I don't think he knew at that particular time that he would end up being the biggest star in the history of sport, because at that point, he was a villain. I mean, you've never seen a guy go 180 like they did with Muhammad Ali, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But he basically was sacrificing his career.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard is already worth $100 million.
Right.
So
made 238.
238? Okay. Well, he's probably got half of that at least still in the bank.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want to be disingenuous in my take on this, because there is a price to pay, and that's all NBA players have to put up 10% of their salaries in escrow until they reach that basketball-related income. So that's gone. That's automatically gone. That's before they even get a check.
Well, explain that. By rule, every NBA player takes 10% of his income, and
it's in escrow, and they keep it in escrow to ensure that they reach the numbers at the end of the season. I don't know what the numbers are now.
Okay. So they put 10% in an escrow account to make sure that all the money comes in
exactly
from the revenue streams. But
right.
yes, so they get that at the end of the year.
At the end of the year. So now the second part of that equation is, well, first of all, that's gone.
Right.
Because they're not going to get that back.
Right.
The second part of that is the league, and I don't know the technical term, they can invoke for layman people this disaster clause. So this pandemic,
force majeure.
Yeah, falls into that, and they can rip up the CBA. Well, you rip that up, and now the financial structure or the bargaining and the leverage that either side has is different.
Right.
So now you're coming back to terms that are not as lucrative as what you left with. So there's a price to pay. I just see it from both sides. I understand the league wants to A, recoup money, and B, wants to move forward so the league is healthy financially. But I can also understand individuals wanting to make their own decisions about whether they want to continue in this atmosphere. And I just think there's just too much unknown about the bubble. We get these drips and drabs from ESPN and Yahoo and The Athletic about what the league is talking about, but the league has not been very clear to the public and apparently not to the players about how this bubble is going to look.
Great point, Ron.
Yeah.
They have not been clear, and they have not been clear from on high from Park Avenue, and they haven't been clear at the 30 teams. I can't believe there hadn't been a statement, maybe not a formal presser, but a statement from each team on how they're going to do the redistribution of season ticket money.
Exactly. And that's another thing. If I'm a season ticket holder, they go into the bubble.
I want my cash.
Are you keeping my money? You're not going to see a home game, And let's be clear, it was never going to be fair or just or make everybody happy, however they came back. But at the same time, I hear some people talking about, you got people who serve in the military that go overseas and they leave their family. Well, they signed up for that. This is not what these guys signed up for. Think about it. A lot of these kids
That's
in
right.
the NBA today or in the NFL and sports in general have been identified as being stars when they've been 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. They have been in a bubble, their own personal bubble, their whole life because they're not well adjusted. And then you ask them just to go, and I don't see a lot of them being cool with it.
I think you're right about that. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the trepidation about this is being in that bubble, not getting to leave Disney, having to be in the hotel with all your guys the whole time for at least half the time because you got the 8 games in the first round. You're not going to have your family there. Now, it's to the best of my knowledge, I thought the Disney people, like the restaurateurs and the maid service, they all had to be in the bubble too. So they're giving up. I don't know if Disney's upping their money or whatever it was, but I thought they had to be in the bubble the whole time, even though they could not have contact. I read somewhere where a maid at the hotel could never be in the same room with the NBA player, even though I think they're going to be in the bubble. But the bubble, you're right, the definition of the bubble for all sides has not been clearly spelled out. Now, maybe the NBA knows, and they just haven't given it to all of us yet.
Yeah. And then to add on to your point, Dave, so will those people be tested every other day like the NBA players?
I don't know. That's a good question. That one I don't know the answer to.
I mean, see, there's just so many. It's so fluid. There's just so many moving parts to this thing.
Do you think a champion gets crowned?
Well, I don't think it's necessary. I'll answer it that way, and I'll tell you why. It's not unprecedented. You guys are baseball guys, just like I am. 1994, it was a labor dispute in MLB, and they just didn't have a World Series. Who hardly even remembers that? I do. But
that was the whole point, or part of the point last night in Long Gone Summer. How McGuire and Sosa in '98 brought baseball back from that debacle. People were down on baseball, and they brought them back. I don't think this will be the same if there is no NBA championship, and we're out of time. If there is no NBA championship, it is not going to hurt the league as a whole because it's out of their hands.
I know you're out of time. Please allow me to give one quick statement. I want to give props to Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban went to my man Dwayne Price, who now writes for his website. Dwayne Price is the Big D, formerly of the Morning Rush.
I remember him.
And he asked Dwayne how he help contribute to black journalists who are disproportionately affected by this whole epidemic, the pandemic, the Black on Lives Matter. For instance, in Pittsburgh, they removed black reporters from reporting on the protest because they felt like that they weren't qualified to do it, and they put majority white reporters on the coverage, which is silly. But when you have these layoffs, because there's not a lot of black reporters in these jobs, disproportionately laid off. Well, anyway, he had the conversation. He donated $100,000, Mark Cuban, to the National Association of Black Journalists to help people who are affected by this whole thing. And I'm saying that story to say this. It helps to listen. He went to a 65-year-old, well-established journalist who now works for him and got some advice and followed through with it. I remember when Lionel Hollins was hired as the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, because I knew him for over a decade as an assistant and I got close to him, I was brought into the offices of the Commercial Appeal, and I was asked if I could cover the Grizzlies. If you can imagine, this is a true story. And I was thinking to myself, well, why couldn't I? And this is why people talk about systematic racism. Do you think they asked the guys who were covering the Tigers about whether they could cover Josh Pastner once he elevated from an assistant coach to the head coach? Hell no. So this stuff does matter. I want to applaud Mark Cuban for being at the forefront of a lot of these issues, not just the one I spoke about, but a lot of other things that are systematic that he's trying to help change through the Mavericks. Everybody wanted to hear about what Penny Hardaway had to say about the unrest, but what does Robert Perry have to say? What does the head coach of the Grizzlies have to say? What does their upper management have to say? Have we heard from them?
No, we have not. And Ron Tillery, let me say this because we are way over. Anytime you want to make a statement, you've got an open invitation to be on this show.
Well, you know I love you guys, and I certainly appreciate you always giving me an opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
All righty.
We are back in just a minute with a wrap of hour number 2 of this Monday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Commitment, dedication, perseverance. At FedEx, our people are our strength. Even during these unprecedented times, we are delivering medical supplies, test kits, and the things you need every day. Helping the world move forward together. Strength, what we deliver by delivering. FedEx.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Strapped against my back.
Final portion, hour number 2, brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the tankless water heater. Now is a great time to get a tankless. This is the technology that, from the get-go, it's 98% efficient. 10-year-old water heaters were about 65% efficient when they were new. A tankless is right off the bat a much better entity. When it's 10 years old, Lord knows how efficient it is. And when the tank breaks, you're a day late. And you've got water going from your attic on down. You don't have to worry about that. You're going to save money on your MLGW bill because you only spend the money on the water when you're heating it and only when you're using it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And, of course, with Conway, you're going to get 8,000 five-star reviews as to how good their service is. Please get into 2020. Get the newest technology in water heating, $79 a month. Or John will give you $300 for the old tank water heater. No more worrying about that tank bursting. Get the new technology. Save money. Call Conway.
Dave, I do think that the NBA will be hurt if they don't crown a champion, and they're talking about delaying the start to next year and maybe years thereafter and being more in line with competition with baseball. One of the impediments to that are the regional sports networks that just about everybody's on. Well, we know here Fox Sports South here won't be because they don't have a baseball team that they carry by and large. It's mostly just the Grizzlies and the Preds, but at a lot of places like in Boston, in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles even, Washington, D.C. with the Nats versus the Wizards, baseball's really getting ready to injure themselves, but basketball, just thinking they can go up against baseball and it be an easy win over them, it's not going to be as easy as they think, especially if they inflict damage to themselves like baseball's getting ready to.
Do you really you said it, so I know you believe it, but I don't quite see that the same way. I think if there is no NBA, if they say it's just too hard to do it this way, I don't believe it gets crushed because this pandemic is something no one.
Well, they're talking $1 billion in losses, and they raised that credit limit for a reason, and they were already reeling from China, the Daryl Morey tweet back in October, and with horrible ratings all year. The only spike in ratings the NBA had all year was the return of Zion.
That is exactly
and that was
why,
late, and that wasn't long.
Right. Well, that's why they got to move it away from competing initially with the NFL. I mean, if they wait till
But
Christmas,
when they start competing with baseball, like, for instance, in Houston, the Rockets are good and Astros are good. The Astros are going to they're going to get good ratings and maybe even have dibs on that RSN. Same in Dallas. Same in Los Angeles. Same in potentially Denver. Potentially Boston.
I guess the bottom line is any season
Philly.
that you try to designate, any season is going to have competition. The easier competition would be baseball over football. And you're right. In Washington, the Capitals. In Philly, you've got the Sixers and the Flyers. Chicago, you got the Bulls and the Blackhawks.
Hockey's not a threat to either. For carriage or for ratings.
Well, carriage isn't going to be an issue. You just get another entity on the cable system. We got to take a timeout, or the way they stream now. Back in a minute, hour number 3, we'll talk college football. Barrett Jones is next.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
I've got a snack that'll add a little kaboom to your keto diet. Or would that be keto boom? Either way, Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds have the bold flavor that outshines other low-carb snacks. And if keto's not your thing, you'll still love the high protein these rinds deliver. Flavors like Korean kimchi barbecue, honey chipotle, pineapple ancho chili, and more. Visit porkrinds.com to find your flavor boom.
Visit your local Kroger today for your Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds. Gateway Tire and Service Centers has a beautiful new state-of-the-art location at 5275 Summer Avenue. And for the entire month of June, the new location on Summer has a great Father's Day special. Buy 3 tires and get the 4th at no charge. Visit the new Gateway Tire and Service Center with 28 bays for quick service, super safe with curbside service or lounge seating 6 feet apart. Check out gatewaytireservice.com for coupons too. The new Gateway Tire and Service Center, 5275 Summer Avenue. Call Matt for details. 901-683-8335.
You can get podcasts of all our daily shows and all of our biggest interviews delivered right to your inbox just by signing up at sports56whbq.com. It's the best way to stay informed on what's going on in sports, and it's brought to you by Surfacescapes Concrete Floors. They'll get your pool deck looking new and beautiful this year, and it'll be up to 20 degrees cooler on your feet. Call 901-888-5000 or go to surfacescapes.com. Get full shows and the best interviews from Sports 56 delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up at sports56whbq.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this very, very, very newsy and busy Monday, and our next guest, college football analyst on ESPN, great Alabama player and proud new papa, Barrett Jones, will join us. First time he will have been with us since the addition of Anderson Jones, and we'll talk with him about how much sleep they're getting at the Jones household. This hour brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales, where all the cars are test driven, all checked out bumper to bumper. Unlimited inventory at DeSoto Auto Sales. Every make, every model, if it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid back atmosphere, down home environment, but they do care about your time and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. They know we're living in a world today that time really matters. You walk in, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in less than 45 minutes. And time to do it over your busy lunch hour or right after work. 5704 Goodman Road. Visit them online and check out all the happy referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
So let's start with Anderson Jones and Barrett. Congratulations. Have we got an O-lineman here? Did he come out?
We got a quarterback.
Guys, we'll see. He was pretty big coming out, but he has not gotten that much bigger. He's actually a rarity in the Jones household. He's in the 29th percentile right now in weight. So, but I have a feeling he'll catch up pretty fast.
That's great. That is wonderful.
The Jones brothers are going to populate Alabama football for many years to come, aren't they, Barrett?
We definitely got a few. Harrison's actually about to have his second child.
I know.
Probably tomorrow. So
yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Your dad must be in heaven.
He is. They've gone from 1 to 4 grandkids in about a 4-month period or something. So it's been pretty fun for them.
Man,
I bet so. Barrett, how's the sleeping pattern? Everybody doing well? Katie doing well?
We are, man. Those first few weeks are touch and go.
Yeah.
You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you learn that you're not always as patient as you are at other times. You know, when it's 3 a.m. and the baby's crying again. But it's definitely. I feel very blessed to have a great woman. And she's helped me out. I don't know how I wouldn't have no chance without her. So I'm very, very grateful. And it's been really fun. And now he's sleeping great. So it kind of feels like you're a new man. All of a sudden you get 8 hours of sleep one night after getting a lot of segmented sleeps, and you feel fresh and ready to roll.
That's terrific. That is terrific, Barrett. Has this been harder than Scott Cochran in off season?
Oh, it's just different. It's just a lot different. It's that was something you could control a little bit more, and this is something that you just have to realize that sometimes even though that baby has food and he's changed and he should be happy and he's just not right now, and there's nothing I can do about it. So it's been a good exercise of focusing on controlling the things you can control and letting everything else go. So no, but it's honestly been so much fun. I feel like I'm talking about the negatives. It's been a blast, and as frustrated as you get, and then he looks at you, and all of a sudden all that goes away, and you forget everything, and you feel blessed.
Sleep deprivation is tough. In that first year, I'm not going to lie to you, Barrett. I've been through it a couple of times. You do get that smile, but wait till they're like over a year and a half, and they really know who you are. That's when it's a ball. It's a lot of
Barrett,
work right now.
And, Dave, you had back-to-back in how many months? 17? 16
months apart, yeah.
Try that on for size, Barrett.
That's tough.
Yeah, I don't think so. That probably wouldn't fly in our household. So we're probably going to wait a few more months than that. But who knows? We actually do want to have them pretty close together. But that's 16 months. That's kind of pushing it.
That's work. It really is.
That's like twins.
That's right.
So I'm sure you must have talked to some producers or something along the line. What kind of preps are you making for what we hope will be college football season?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there as far as what that'll look like, and what the season's what's gonna happen. And I hear rumors here and there. Nothing concrete yet. My contract actually was up in May, and so kind of in a holding pattern, trying to figure out what's going to happen until then. But I mean, all intents and purposes, everybody I talk to seems very positive, and it's hard to imagine a world without football. So I kind of think we'll get this all worked out, and I think we already are starting to get it worked out. I mean, the players are back on campus; they're training. Obviously, we're starting to see some positive tests, which I'm a little bit confused why everyone's so surprised about that. I mean, we kind of knew this would happen, and guys were our environments, and now they're just in a place where they can be tested and probably treated more effectively than they could have been individually. So all in all, I think there's a lot of steps being taken in the right direction, and I think the signs right now are very positive.
How would you have handled this, Barrett, in any of your years at Alabama with this much uncertainty and this kind of scrutiny around the sport and really kind of being isolated? The June atmosphere in all these college towns are not what you were used to during your years.
No, they're not. No, it's definitely very different. I obviously can't say exactly how I would handle it, but I think I really would want to play, and I think that's how most of the guys will be, is that they're going to want to play. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of data out there, but I think pretty much one thing that's pretty much universally agreed on is that, especially for those kind of guys with those type of bodies, that they're probably not at a huge risk for serious ailment should they get it. So I think most guys will kind of consider the risk being worth it, and they'll do what they have to do. And whatever what that looks like is kind of still be determined. And how they're going to, you've probably heard about the Ohio State, pledge that they're going to kind of stay away from people. There's all kind of different methods and theories on what that's going to look like for different players. But, obviously you got to be careful, but also, I was a college player once too. I know the level of carefulness, and I maybe I'm a little suspicious, I guess, just upon how quarantined maybe some of these guys will be. But again, I mean, I just go back to the fact that, and it'll be more public now because there'll be so much more testing that's going to be happening. But look, the reality is, I mean, I do think that, most of these guys are much safer in the atmosphere they're in with the team, with the kind of medical treatment they have, with the kind of testing they have, versus if they were, all apart in their hometowns. That's just the reality, because I would imagine a lot of these guys, if they're like most of the college kids I know and most of the ones that I knew when I played in college, they probably weren't being too careful in their hometowns even before this all started,
Well, we've seen that. Your alma mater, they came back, and what was it, 5 players that had tested positive because they were not under that regiment that they would be. The question that I have is, once we're all together, like the University of Memphis is now, they came back with 0 positive tests. And they were out walking a protest thing yesterday. Now most of them had masks. I think they tried to social distance, but the key in my mind to the future of the college football season will be, once they're all together for several weeks, what happens if there is 7 or 8 that break out then? Then you've got a little bit of an issue.
No doubt. That's definitely the key.
Game.
First of all, we just need to go ahead and declare right now that Memphis is, without a doubt, the COVID national champs. I mean, they are the COVID national champions that they reported with 0 cases. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If that is indeed true. So that's a good title right there. I would imagine that, most teams will have a few at least, just because of the prevalence, and it seems like there's a lot of, that goes undetected or asymptomatic, or I don't work for the CDC, so but it seems like it's pretty common now for people to have asymptomatic, positive. So I don't think it's surprising when you're talking about 150 guys, plus staff all getting tested, that you're going to have a few positives. To me, that's not really that surprising. But I think it's even more surprising maybe that Memphis had 0 tests. Now, you bring up a great point. What will happen, and could there be a point where a team will have to forfeit a game? And I say, yeah, I think I can definitely see a scenario where that happens, where you have to forfeit a game because you have just too many players that have COVID. But look, I just think if we want to have a season, that's something we're going to have to take. And I get the whole, what if the offensive line gets it, and but that's, again, I think testing is going to get better and better. We have at least probably 2.5 months before we're really talking about a season, right, where we'd have to be talking about forfeiting games. And so hopefully the testing capacity and just the speed which we can get the test back will be faster and faster, and so we can find out which one of these guys has it and who he spread it to, and isolate those people and hopefully not spread it. And that's really, I think, at this point, that looks like the best option.
You mentioned the testing, and today Ezekiel Elliott positive for the virus, asymptomatic. His agent said that if he had not taken the test, there's no way you could have ever known. Has not had any fever, not a sniffle, not a body ache, not anything. Barrett, you played college football, you played pro football. The two buildings are vastly different on a non-virus year. The NFL will have a different approach than the college approach, won't it?
Yeah, probably. There definitely will be more uniform policies in place, but practically, I don't know what they'll do that's that different. I think there'll be more stringent policies, and maybe there could be. I doubt there'll be, if there's a huge outbreak in the NFL, they might just stop the whole league, and they instead of just forfeiting one game. Whereas in college you could have each conference is a little more autonomous. So, it'll be interesting to see the way it shakes out. Look, I think that there's a decent chance we could have an outbreak at some point on a certain team. But I'm also optimistic. I'm still optimistic that we're going to find a way to play 12 games and get the whole season. I still think at the very least in college football we're probably going to have a conference schedule. That would, if you had to made me bet right now, just because of how regional that is, and I think if a league could all get on the same page, to me that seems more practical than. Just then getting all the leagues maybe on the exact same page with all the different, maybe political or however you want to state it, just opinions and relevant experiences based on certain coasts and how they're reacting to COVID. But I do think it seems like we'll probably get at least conference play in some conferences as of right now.
I feel more confident in that myself. Some of the early games that are non-conference are long-distance traveling games. Those might not happen for pandemic reasons. I think if you can only play 10, 20% of your capacity, there's a revenue stream. You might want to be very careful about your budget as well. And so I could see where you play either more regional games or just conference games. Maybe in the case of the SEC, they play like the Big 12 does or the Big 10, and they go, you know what, we're going to play 9 games this year for a conference schedule.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. And, I guess we are deep in the heart of the South, so I guess a lot of SEC fans, I've already heard them say, as long as the SEC plays, then we'll have a true national champion. And I guess as long as SEC and Clemson, that would cover the last few decades there. So I'm kidding, but no, it will be very interesting, especially for conferences like the Pac-12 and even the Big Ten. To kind of see how some of these conferences really start to react. But I think the positive sign is getting the guys there. That was that you have to get the guys there to start working out and training, because if they weren't there by at least July, then you're looking at serious danger. But right now, getting the guys there is a great first step, and it gives you a chance to start on time. And I'm not ready to write off those early games. I've heard that a lot. But again, I still just think they're going to find a really safe way to do it. And with the medical personnel they have, I think that generally guys are better off being at their facilities than they are being at home.
Barrett, I promise you, I would have asked you this question never mind the virus, and never mind the social unrest and the social cause that we have going on right now in college football, because you were there at the beginning of building this dynasty at Alabama. The dynasty they enjoy today, you were part of the fundamental cornerstone building blocks of that. We know it's not close to ending, but what do you think someday, some season, we know Coach Saban turned 69 years old this year in season, what would be one thing that if Barrett Jones saw this occurring around the Alabama program that would make you think it might be close to ending?
That's a good question. I would say, look, Coach Saban it's so hard to count him out ever. I mean, I guess if I saw a consistent slippage in recruiting, and I know that, Alabama right now is behind the recruiting rankings based on where they usually are, but I don't really ever pay much attention to any of that stuff before the season's over. But if guy, and look, there's already, for the last 5 years, there's been a lot of that, recruiting against the fact that Coach Saban's getting older and he's going to leave sometime soon, yada, yada. But yet it still seems to be where they have an opportunity to play for national championships almost every year. So, I would say that would be one thing. And I think if just Coach Saban, if I felt like he wouldn't enjoy it anymore, but he still seems like he's really enjoying what he's doing. He loves the grind. I've always kind of been of the opinion. I know Coach Saban loves to play golf, but I think he loves to squeeze in rounds of golf. I just don't think he really. I don't know what he'd do all the time. If he just retired and. As long as he's as mentally sharp as he is now, and really talking to him not too long ago, I think he's as sharp as he ever, has ever been, just talking to him. So if I felt like, or he felt like he was starting to slip a little bit mentally, I think maybe that he would take a step back or it would be close to an end. But I think as long as he's feeling good and is healthy and is still sharp and still recruiting well, then I don't see any signs of it happening anytime soon.
We're talking with Barrett Jones, former Alabama great and All-American, and of course now an ESPN and SEC network announcer. And Barrett, we are seeing this as odd a time as I've ever lived through. We have the pandemic going now. We have the protests over what happened in Minneapolis and in other places, believe it or not, the last couple of days, which makes you scratch your head. With what occurred at the Wendy's in Atlanta. But today, Mike Gundy called out for wearing a network T-shirt of ultra-right conservative television network. We saw Chris Doyle get fired because of what are alleged racist tendencies in Iowa. As you've gone through as a broadcaster and seen all of these different teams, did you ever get the sense that there were different sets of rules or values or anything of that nature?
Oh, that's a loaded question right there. I mean, I think obviously that's.
You don't have to be specific.
It's hard for me to say, every program and just having limited exposure, and I think generally in college football, most of the coaches I've been around have done a great job, with, making guys feel included and welcomed. And I think that the overwhelming experience of college football players, at least the ones that I know, would say it changed them for the better, and it made them more responsible as men, and more to feel respected and dignified. So obviously, if there's anything going on where a certain group of people is not being respected and treated well, that's something that we want to address. How do we find a middle ground in that? That's a question I think we're all wrestling with right now. Where who do we run off, and what kind of offenses are worth firing someone over, or how do we react to these kind of things? These are tough questions that I think a lot of people are struggling with. And I can just tell you as a broadcaster, I mean, it's a sensitive time, and like it or not, you have to be very aware of what's going on out there. And like there are some comments that have been made over the past few weeks that maybe just taken on face value, that they're not necessarily bad comments. They might just be kind of comments with poor timing, I guess you could say. And so I think you got to be aware of that. And I think every coaching staff is going to be much more aware of that. going forward, and the way they treat people. And I think some of that will be a real positive thing. So, I think that every American right now probably should be just analyzing their own heart and kind of thinking, where are some areas of my life that I can see things that I need to improve on. It's been a very divisive time in a lot of ways, and I think that's one thing I love about football and about sports is that there's people that come together from all different socioeconomic backgrounds and colors and ethnicities and religions and all kind of things, and you all try to achieve one great thing and one thing and win a championship, and that's part of what makes it so fun. Honestly, is doing with people who probably you maybe never would have otherwise crossed paths with, and so I think that makes you a better person just inherently when you have that kind of exposure, and it's part of what makes our game so fun and great.
Barrett, you make a good point. At some point in that locker room, whether it's leadership council, captains, or just big prominent voices in that locker room that are not coaches, the sermonette, the speech will be given. Guys, it's time to be concerned about football and going forward. How critical will it be for leadership council and captains going forward? Never easy job, but now made harder.
Yeah, leadership's absolutely important, and just from my experience, I've heard of several coaches enacting some kind of leadership council now to get more of an opinion of the players. And I was very fortunate that I played in a culture and a team that was in some ways ahead of its time. And Coach Saban's had a leadership council as long as I can remember, ever since he got to Alabama at least. I think he might have even had one at LSU of guys, for those exact kind of things, that the players could voice their opinion when they felt like a certain thing was out of whack. And I think that's really important to hear the voice of the players. Obviously, there's a chain of command, and that's part of just playing football or any sport really. But for those players to have a voice and to be able to say that when they're feeling like something is not right, I think is a great positive first step, and probably a step that could be emulated in a lot of areas of life.
He is Barrett Jones. We talk college football with him a whole bunch, and now we can add to that title, Proud Papa. That's some
right.
Sleep.
Maybe my proudest title, so it's a good one.
That is a good one.
That
is the best one.
Thank you, Barrett. We
Sleep when he
appreciate it.
sleeps, Barrett. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. We appreciate
You got
it. This portion of the show brought to you by the Spirit Shop. Okay, weekend's over. I'm sure you had a good time. Get a step ahead. Head on over, see Eddie Connor, my good friend right now, and stock up. Get back up to where you were. That's simple. Weather's just been so good. Nice white wine might be perfect. You want it buttery? You want it more fruity? Ask Eddie Connor or his daughters. They'll tell you exactly which route to take. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been serving Memphis at the Spirit Shop, Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar, right down from Clark Tower, that little log cabin. They've been doing it since 1969. They know the premium products. They know the middle ground products. They know the bargain ones that are still really, really, really good. And they got all the accessories. They have beer. Anything you need for your party, anything that has spirits in it, they're on top of it. I promise. The Spirit Shop. Go stock back up from this past weekend. Do it early. Go see my friends at the Spirit Shop. Big stories today include Major League Baseball and this lack of leadership, I hate to say. And there's a chance they could really do some permanent damage because we're talking about missing the whole season when there's clearly a way you could play part of the season this year. Everybody seems to be intent on playing at home. They figured that part out. I think they figured out a lot of ways except for the money. And we go back to 94 when they had that last strike that was brought up a little bit earlier. I thought that was very damaging. And last night there was, I loved it, the Long Gone Summer, and that was the documentary that really was all about Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and the home run race to break Roger Maris's record, and then to after that record was shattered by both Sosa and McGwire, to see who would be the one that could have the most home runs in a single season, and it ended up Mark McGwire with 70. And we all remember that. And I remember the great sportsmanship. And watching it last night, it just reminded me what a great era it truly was, how Sosa and McGwire were so classy with one another, and how much pressure there was on both, and how they both reacted with such grace. Now, when later in their careers the testimony to Congress and everything else occurred, that was not as pretty a scene, that is for sure. But that
it didn't end well. It didn't end well. And how fond are we of both of those players? I know Mark McGwire's in the Cardinals Hall of Fame, and he was an assistant coach or one of the coaches on Tony La Russa's staff toward the end, and he made radical lifestyle changes. His second wife, I had a friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine that worked and was friends with Mark McGwire's second wife, and everybody will tell you that he was a far different person after baseball and after that second marriage than he was as a player, because he was a really nasty guy, and there's a lot of stories here in Memphis about it, including on the opening day of AutoZone Park with everybody just begging him to make an appearance when he was one of the stars of American sport across the country to go. And look, I know they can't do everything, and they're sometimes busy, but reportedly the very nasty answer he gave that I cannot, decorum prevents me from even getting close to what he said about the children at St. Jude, then he wouldn't go. He really transformed from that. But Sammy Sosa is still persona non grata on the north side of Chicago. He's not welcome back at anything.
Well, that has nothing to do with that particular year, because that year he was 180 of McGwire. He would do any interview you wanted him to do. He always had a smile. He really, at the end, deferred to McGwire when McGwire had beaten him with 70-66 as your final numbers. But where Sammy got crossways was toward the end of his career, when he left the game early after he got taken out of a game. And when
the bat that was broken, that was corked.
That was definitely corked. That was the first, and he didn't handle that stuff well at all. And then the final straw
it ended poorly
for me as a fan was when he all of a sudden couldn't speak English. He'd been on the David Letterman show, for goodness sake, and all of a sudden when he
couldn't speak or couldn't understand, it was just total.
Yeah, he suddenly forgot English.
It was like he was mute.
Yeah, that bummed me, and it made me change my mind about him. But they were both in this years later, this documentary. They were both eloquent in their own way, and it just brought back how great they were. There was some interesting commentary, as always, by Bob Costas, who said, I'm not going to make any moral judgments about that era and steroids because so many players were using it. And I'm paraphrasing here. But the one line he does draw is that those statistics, that particular year in question, 1998, when there was 70 home runs by one and 66 by another, is that those were tainted numbers because there was juice being used. And I think that is an accurate statement. We can talk a little bit more about that on the other side. I'll let you know this portion of our show is brought to you by The Butcher Shop. The Butcher Shop with the $100 family meal. Wolo, what are you talking about? $100 for a family? Yes, sir. Family of four, in fact, where you can have your choice. You get 4 entrees. You can choose from a New York strip, an Atlantic salmon, or chicken breast. And by the way, if you want to upgrade just slightly, $4 more, get a ribeye, $6, get a filet mignon. You can get that all for $100. That includes salad, baked potatoes, French bread, and dessert. There's 4 desserts that come with a $100 deal, and you get ice cream on either cheesecake or brownie. You can't beat that anywhere, and you can eat that inside, or you can take it out. They'll bring it out to your curbside. If you want to order, simple number, 757-4244. So many great ways for families to eat great food at the Butcher Shop. We'll take that time out. Back in a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hurts. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches, 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Oh, my stomach. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Try new Pepto-Bismol chews. The same fast relief of Pepto-Bismol, now in a delightful chew.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome in. Final half hour of this program on Monday. It's been an interesting day to say the least. We were going to start phase 3. News of the day, though, because of 256 new coronavirus cases and hospitalizations up to 200, 122 acute care beds, 78 intensive care beds. The health department has decided to put a pause on going to phase 3. That was going to occur today, where you would go up to 75% of restaurants, still with distancing and things of that nature. That has all been put on hold. We will stay in phase 2 for a while longer. Also in news today, there was a story that came out of Oklahoma State where their top running back, I think, in the country last year, over 2,000 yards, Chuba Hubbard, was upset about Mike Gundy wearing a OAN T-shirt. In case you folks don't know what OAN stands for, it's One America News, a far-right news network that has been known to promote conspiracy theories, is often cited by President Donald Trump. And Hubbard said he would have nothing to do with...
I've never heard him mention it.
I haven't either. But I do know that the president of Oklahoma State has now come out, and he has basically said, this is the president of Oklahoma State University, I hear and respect the concerns expressed by our black student athletes. This is a time for unity of purpose to confront racial inequities and injustice. We will not tolerate insensitive behavior by anyone at Oklahoma State.
That should have been the standard, though, yesterday, shouldn't it?
It should have always have been.
I don't think Oklahoma State should have been allowing insensitive behavior 48 hours ago, should they?
Well, I don't know if they knew that on a family vacation that their coach was wearing a T-shirt of a network that was insulting, I guess is the best way that I could put that. If that indeed is, obviously Hubbard felt that was the case.
Mm-hmm. And insulting and insensitive could be in the beholder, couldn't it?
It sure could. And if we're going to be intolerant of everybody, you would think there would be understanding on both sides, and I hope that there is. I really think.
How does that get resolved, though? How does Chubba Hubbard go to Coach Gundy and say, all cool?
I don't think that the player is the one that's going to go to the coach. I think it's the coach that's going to go to the player. And the coach is going to say, I didn't realize this would be a problem with you. And let's talk about it, and let's find a happy medium. And that's the way I think we have to do everything now. Honestly, I think there are differing points of views that just have to be talked about and tolerated, and there has to be give and take on both sides. I think there's probably a pretty easy resolution that can be done with all of this, and then you set that parameter and you respect each other, and that's what we're going to have to do, and that's what we should have been doing for a long time. And unfortunately, it wasn't that way, and now it will need to be that way. And there's probably instances.
I just don't know how Mike Gundy could have had the career he's had in him not having been doing that.
Well, he might have, and as we said earlier, I am certain, to the best, I don't really know Mike Gundy except for the time that he spent here and him parading in that rant, I'm a man press conference that he had 10 years ago. But I would have to think when he put that shirt on to go fishing with his family on a family vacation, that when he put that on, he did not think he was going to be insulting anybody. I really don't believe that.
I can't either. And therefore, I mean, is he thoroughly going through the rest of his wardrobe?
I would be if I were him. I mean, these are different times. They really are. And there are times where we have to examine, the way we've acted and the way we will act. I think this, to me, is a minor thing that could be easily rectified by going and talking. And, unfortunately, it's Gundy that has insulted his player, who's the younger guy who he's trying to teach. So he needs to go to him and say, okay, why do you have a problem with this? Let me explain to you what I think about this, and let me hear what you think now, and let's rectify it.
Yeah, and be hard to go forward without the team's best player and his teammates rallying around him in that Oklahoma State locker room. Mike Gundy played for them. I said earlier, he's probably the most, I don't think it's even close, the most legendary coach in Oklahoma State history. Now, their history is not as replete with superstardom like cross-state rival Oklahoma, but between T. Boone Pickens' money and Mike Gundy's coaching, he made them very, very relevant to maybe career be threatened by a darn T-shirt.
He made them competitive, there is no doubt, and he helped put them on the map with T. Boone Pickens. I agree with you on that one.
Seriously, do I get that network? Do I get that channel on DirecTV? I swear. Of course, I'm not a bit. I get 200 channels and I watch 7.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I had a la carte TV, I mean, I would pare it down to nothing. But I truly had never heard of the entity before today.
I have not heard of it either.
I don't think you get it as like a regular news package. I think you can add it on, but mostly the way that people get to that network is mostly all online through their website.
It's a streaming network.
Yes, they do a lot of streamings, podcasts, articles type of thing.
So is there a live studio that a cable network would have, or is this strictly a bunch of podcasts that have been put together on a website?
They have a studio and everything where they do daily shows. I mean, I've never personally watched the thing, just from research that I've done in the last couple hours. They do have a studio, and like I said earlier, the main problem with that the players at Oklahoma State have with it is the fact that multiple hosts on this network have referred to the Black Lives Matters movement as a criminal organization, and it's just not a good look for Mike Gundy. And the only way he can ultimately rectify this situation is going and saying, well, I don't go to that source for this. I go to that source for that, and I don't agree with everything they say, just like what I say might not be exactly what Peter says in the morning. I mean, you can't clump every single fact and every single word that one host says on a news network to everybody.
True. And I think you're right. I mean, he's got to go and say, look, I didn't mean to insult you. Here's what I like about this network. It has nothing to do with race. And
because normally when he's quoted about it, at least recently, it's all been about coronavirus. It hasn't been about any racial movements.
And that's what he's got to explain to him, and he should say, I certainly didn't wear that shirt to upset you.
What's been his stand on the virus?
He's been more on the it's overblown type of crowd.
I'm sorry, Drew, and I'm not trying to be
I meant
inquisitor in chief to you. Overblown in what manner? I mean, 115,000 deaths, I don't think has been overblown.
No. In his initial comments, basically just came down to it's coronavirus is going to be around. People get sick, they recover it, they come back into public. I don't see. He kind of tried to downplay it a little bit, I guess, in his comments, if I read it right. And that's kind of how OANN kind of displays it on their network.
I have no idea. Based on what you just said, probably let's open up the economy quicker. Let's get back onto normal life quicker.
Basically, that's what it is.
And that's what, if that is the case, that's what Gundy needs to come out, say that to everybody. But the first person he needs to say that is to Hubbard. And probably his president, because based on what I just read there, you tell me if I'm wrong, Brett, that did not sound like a ringing endorsement for the coach.
No, it doesn't.
No. As we were going into to break, we were talking a little bit about the McGuire and the Sammy Sosa wonderful documentary last night. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It brought back great memories for me, and just watching all the clutch hits that both those guys had that year. Cubs made the playoffs that year. McGuire he fell behind in one game. I think it was 66 home runs to 65, and Sammy never hit another one. And, of course, McGuire, with all that pressure on him, went on to hit 5 more, and 70 was the record at that point, shattering Roger Maris. And it was good to see guys like Bob Costas and Jack Buck's call and Mike Shannon's calls. And Mike Shannon did a lot of the interviews, and he knew Roger Maris pretty well and talked.
Yeah, he was his best friend
yeah.
in their playing days. And like Mike Shannon, Roger Maris had a football scholarship, I think, to Oklahoma to play college football. Mike Shannon did play at Mizzou, but I did not watch last night. I will try to catch on a loop. I didn't watch last night because I was into the golf press conferences, and I was also watching on SEC Network the replay of the Auburn-Georgia game in 1996, the first SEC overtime, and remembered it and wanted to watch it again. I enjoyed the summer of 1998, it was not the end-all, be-all for me because the team concept of it for me, the Cardinals were really nowhere in the shouting for the playoffs that year. The Cubs were the wild card team. I think there were 2 100-plus win teams in the National League. The Cubs got bulldozed in the first round of the playoffs. The Padres represented the National League in the NLCS that year and got thumped by the Yankees. But I enjoyed 1998, but I didn't think it was much of a team concept to it. And I enjoyed Mark McGwire as a Cardinal, but he wouldn't be in my list of top 30 Cardinals ever because the team component of it, the team portion of it, I don't think he may have had one home run in postseason play as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals, and his teams did nothing in the postseason as a Cardinal. He was not a team winner guy. He was a gargantuan power hitter, but he was not a team winner.
No, but I think the biggest point of this documentary was how they really had the world of baseball. Even though one team was a wild card and the other didn't even make the playoffs, they captured baseball. They brought people to the stadiums. They brought people to TV sets. In opposing ballparks, they would put up their numbers of home runs on the board. So
that was the fun part.
Everybody was captivated by what was going on right then. And I did not know until you just said it a little while ago about the personality change of McGwire. He was always pretty low-key. I do kind of remember since you said that quote about St. Jude, and I know when he left here there were not people that enamored at all of Mark McGwire. But McGwire had so much pressure on him. And actually it was brought out nicely. That was supposed to be the summer that there was going to be the breaking of Maris's record because we had what we thought was a juice ball and everything else. But it was supposed to be between Ken Griffey Jr. and Mark McGwire, and nobody knew about Sammy Sosa. And here comes this guy from the north side of Chicago, and the two of them put on quite a show. This portion of our program brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Olive Branch, and Genesis of Olive Branch. This is that beautiful car dealership, getting bigger all the time, by the way, right there at Craft Road and Highway 78. That's Lamar in Memphis. It's about 12 minutes away. It's that quick. You get on Lamar, you'll be there, and you'll find where I think they have set the bar for the way car business should be done. First of all, the staff's been together for years and years and years. They know each other. They understand the way the business works. They take care of you. Chris True became their leader a couple of years ago. He's doing an unbelievable job, and he always finds ways to make it easy for you to buy a car, like 0% financing now for 84 months. And on some select models, you've got up to 120 days to make your first payment on that car. We understand pandemic. We understand maybe you've been unemployed. You've been brought back now. Hopefully phase 3 will come soon. And within those 3 or 4 months, you'll have your money to make your first payment because you don't need to on select models to make that first payment for 120 days. Please go see what I'm talking about. You'll love it. Go see my guys at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take the time out, and when we return, it'll be crunch time. That's next.
It's R&R on Sports.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffey Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1.
Don't miss us.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Do you get into bed and find your mind still going? If so, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's liquid melatonin. It's made with an optimal level of melatonin for no next day grogginess. Pure Z's liquid melatonin, because sleep is a beautiful thing, at stores now.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. Too easy with the deal, we get insane. Hey, I heard you were
a wild one. Welcome back in. Final portion of the show. You know what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Learned today that we had opposite ends of the Duke spectrum. Kyrie Irving doesn't want to play. Austin Rivers wants to play. One of them will be right in the bubble. I don't know how the bubble will really work out. I don't know how well planned it was. They both played at Duke, and they couldn't be on opposite ends of this discussion.
Well, I think they've taken a lot of care in trying to plan it. I don't think that initially they thought there would be this player doubt on two different fronts. It's the bubble and it's the Black Lives Matter movement now that has become the focus, and This thing in Orlando could certainly be in doubt. I learned a couple of things today. One, Tiger football has 2 more commitments. 2 defensive backs from Louisiana, Tyrell Raby and Eric Randall. Both are 3-star guys. And I also learned if I'm Daniel Berger, I am going to play the second month of June every year as long as I can play golf. Because
it's been good to him.
All 3 of his tournament wins, the 2 FES JCs, and now the Colonial, the Charles Schwab yesterday, all have come on the second week of June.
Could have done without baseball. Rob Manfred, out of the March agreement, he could have unilaterally set a number for the season. Why didn't he just go ahead and do it at 120 and go forward with it?
He had the right. How about this on that story? Why in March, when they all came to an agreement and gave that power to the commissioner, why didn't they talk then about playing in empty stadiums? They could have had an understanding and explained everything right then and there. They never, ever had language in there about that. That, to me, is the
They never wanted to play. They never wanted to play after not getting the traditional start.
I guess I could have done without the Lamar Jackson story, but it was a bad week for Drew Barrett. Just a bad weekend. Zero money in the golf game. Ooh, Bagel. Nada.
I'm coming back this week.
That's what you said. Wasn't there some kind of talk about that last week?
Nah, gotta get all my.
It's just like
golf.
Picks?
You go to the driving range to get your bad shots out of the way
first.
first.
You got to have a short-term memory to be a good golfer.
You got them out.
No doubt about that. I guess I could have done without that other part. Is Lamar Jackson, the quarterback, the Baltimore quarterback, Drew's guy, playing with friends on the beach, pump fakes, runs to his right, then to his left, into the water, and then falls over a jet ski. A jet ski.
Remember, Robert Edwards almost lost his leg in a beach football game one time.
That's right.
So injuries happen. Keeping a close eye tonight. Where's Tiger's yacht? Is it headed to Connecticut next week?
I don't think you have
Harbortown with a great field. College football tests continue. The NBA restart definitely up for grabs, and we'll see if there's any more fallout from the college football world on its restart.
Yeah, I definitely want to see what the ramification is going to be from the NFL news today on the Cowboys and the Texans all having some cases of COVID, and one coach saying we should delay the start. We'll all be watching that intently. Thank you to Ted Butler, David Cobb, Ron Tillery, and to Barrett Jones. It'll be another blockbuster day tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll talk to you then. Have a great night, everybody.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself